Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Year 2, Season 1 of the Rainbow Six Pro League. I am Christopher Panky Pankhurst, he is Michael Kickstar Stockley, and we are very excited to bring you another year of exciting Rainbow Six Siege competition.
Yeah, it's great to be back finally here with these new teams and these awesome players, some returning, some coming from the Xbox scene. And I just want to say that, I look forward to moving forward in this year. Year 2 is going to be, I think, hopefully fantastic.
Yeah, we got a lot of big plans coming up for this year, and so without further ado, let's dive into looking at it. This is, of course, the North American portion of the PC Pro League, the only Pro League we have running now. Xbox and PlayStation 4, of course, have major leagues, and there is a Challenger League here for PC that was taking place earlier today. But let's look at our 8 teams that are here in the North American PC Pro League. Starting with Group B, we have 4 squads lining up here called Era Eternity, Lethal Gaming, Most Wanted, and Flipside. A lot of familiar organizations in that, the people that were following the Pro League scene last year, but a few different players, as we'll get to later on. Now, looking at Group A, we'll make up our other 4 teams. 2 of those, of course, you'll see tonight. 2 of them you'll see next Monday. Once we've got all of these 8 teams, though, you'll have seen, of course, we have this Group A and we have this Group B breakdown, and this doesn't cover the entire tournament. The way things are playing out then, Continuum Elevate will play today, Ominous Onslaught play next Monday, Lethal Gaming and Era Eternity will play today, and their counterparts in Group B will play next Monday. The winners from these games will head to that round 1 winner slot you see there in front of your screens. So if Continuum were to win today, they'll move to that round 1 winner spot. They will be joined by the winner of either Ominous or Onslaught in that place. The losers will move down to that round 1 loser bracket spot and play a game there. The losers of each of those games will go home. So if, again, hypothetical situation, Continuum are playing Ominous in the round 1 winner slot, the loser of that game goes home, and the winner will advance through to that round 2 winner location. The losers of the first game, Elevate versus Onslaughts, hypothetically, will play each other again, and the winner will advance through to that other round 2 winner slot. The loser will go home. Then those two will be there playing in that round 2 winner slot to decide who is the winner of Group A. And of course, the same will be happening over in Group B. That will then give us 4 teams in a breakdown to move over into our playoffs bracket. Here we will have our winner of Group A playing against our second place team in Group B, and then of course our winner of Group B playing against the second place team in Group A. They will then move forward or move down to the winner game or the loser game to decide our 1, 2, 3, 4 placement towards the end of the season, and of course then who goes to our LAN finals at the end of this season. So it's a very different system to last year.
Oh yeah,
very different system to that.
And I think a lot of the teams are happy about this particular system because it offers each team best of 3 situations in all of the matchups. So it's a fair give and take for every single one of the teams. Plus there is the loser bracket, so you have that second chance in every instance.
Yeah, so it's not quite double elimination. But they are all best of 3 games now, so we're not just in these best of 2 formats. There's a sort of a second chance for some of these squads, and once you get past these later stages, getting that number 1 seed, there's a couple of different roundabout ways that you can get there. So bottom line is a lot more competition and a lot more meaning to each and every game here for you guys as viewers. So, with all of that in your head, let's see who it is playing today, of course, because we do have a game from Group A and a game from Group B to play out.
So yeah, let's take a look at the schedule. At 5 p.m. today, starting right now, we are going to be having Continuum versus Elevate, the reigning PC World Champions versus the reigning Xbox World Champions turned PC. Then we are going to have later tonight at 7:30, Era versus Lethal Gaming coming out of the Group B. And this is going to be a really interesting matchup for me personally because both of these teams are in a really interesting spot right now.
Yep, so we'll see that later on. But first, let's talk Continuum Elevate. We do have one of the Elevate players lined up, ready to go for an interview with us right here on stage. So I do believe we are welcoming Skies to the table. We'll talk to him, of course, about his team's feeling going into the season, about his team's thoughts coming up to this very, very big opening game against Continuum. And well, I mean, it's a pretty damn big one to get the ball rolling with.
Yeah, it's a really interesting match right off the bat for Elevate, especially coming from Xbox. But I have faith that they're going to put a good showing up for us today. And of course, if they do not manage to make or pay their dues and get the win on the board, they will still have that second chance. So,
yeah. So, Skies should be on the line any second, and we should be good to go. There he is, guys. Thank you very much for joining us. How are you feeling this afternoon?
Doing good. How are you, Panky?
I'm great. I'm really excited to see some more Rainbow Six, if I'm completely honest. I'm going to kick things off with what everyone I'm sure is thinking right now. You are the Xbox champions. You came from winning the 6th Invitational as an Xbox squad, but now you've qualified here as a PC team. You have the weight of that entire scene on your shoulders. How does that shape up for you guys?
Being the only Xbox team that actually qualified for PC Pro League is nuts. We've got a ton of good players. We've had some roster changes going on, but Continuum is the best team on PC. I hope we can put up a fight and actually take some maps, maybe even take the game.
I mean, of all the teams you could play in your opening gambit here in the Pro League, you get the PC champion. So yeah, that's got to be a big one. Has that shaped your attitudes going into preparation for this much at all?
We've definitely been grinding a lot harder than expected because we actually didn't know that we were playing Continuum until it was released, which is kind of sad to say, but we had just figured out be grinding, and we're hoping to do what we can to actually take the maps and take the win.
So looking at that, look at the way you're grinding, the way you're training. Of course, you're learning to go from Xbox to PC as one. So I'm imagining there's probably some meta changes, meta shifts in the way Xbox plays, the way PC plays. But also, of course, you've gone from the 6th Invitational patch to the patch we're on now, with Montaigne being very strong, with the Glaz changes recently. What are the biggest glaring issues you've had with that transition, or has the fact that it's been such a long time made it actually an easy transition?
I would say the hardest transition would be the Montaigne buff and now the Glaz buff, because on Xbox you wouldn't see Montaigne very much because he's not as accurate with a thumbstick, and then the Glaz buff is insane. Put those two together, you can see through smokes with the thermal vision. You can get the kill. Montaigne players, especially the new player that Continuum has, Slashug, is an amazing Montaigne player. It's gonna be rough, but we're hoping that we can actually use that to our advantage as well as they will.
All right, thank you very much, Skies, for your thoughts on this. Good luck in the game up to come, and of course we will see more from Skies later on. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, so that of course is Skies there for Elevate. Let's have a look who else is on the roster. He did mention we have some changes to that from the 5 men that won the Xbox Championship, but here are those other 4 players.
Yeah, we have Skies, England, Geo, Easily, and Zed. Now that is FPS Zed. Some of you may be familiar with him coming out of the streaming scene, and he was a prominent PC player for a long time. I think he's the only PC player on that roster right now.
I mean, technically they're all
PC players, but of the players that came over from Xbox, Zed is not one of them, and he's going to be an interesting pickup for Elevate. I think he could help this team out a lot.
Yeah, he always was a big strategist. He always was
a big
decision maker for his team. And one of these guys, and Skies himself, has been a good leader for this squad. Having someone that has that PC background may have helped make that mentality switch over, especially someone that knows Continuum very well too.
Oh, yeah.
But speaking of Continuum, and I'm sure this guy needs no introduction, we also now have Canadian on the line for an interview to hear what his thoughts are going into this game, hear how Continuum have handled the last 3 months in preparation since the 6th Invitational, and well, how basically they're feeling shaping up against the Xbox champions, how they're feeling shaping up against Elevate.
Right.
So yeah, Continuum, thank you. Continuum, Canadian. How are you doing this fine afternoon? Thank you very much for joining us.
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, as I said, we're wonderful. We're looking forward to another big season, another great game. Going into your game against Elevate, of course, you've had 3 months since you won the Invitational. You guys knew you were coming back into this Pro League. You were feeling comfortable out of that. What did you do these last 3 months? Have you been training the entire time? Did you take some time off? What did this look like?
We took about, I think, a week off right away. We still played the game, but didn't practice or anything heavily. But just took a week off, and then we got right back into practicing again. I think there was a couple days that we had to take off. Some people went out of town and whatnot, but pretty much been playing just as much or more than any other season. We want to stay on top, and you have to play a lot to do so.
Yeah, the attitude of world champion, I like it. Looking at then the new meta, we heard Skies talk about it, Montaigne, Glaz, they're huge changes, they're huge buffs. You picked up Slash, who we mentioned, and everyone knows to be a very big shield player, and now Montaigne being such a huge force. Looking at this meta, are you happy with this? Are you happy with your team's position going into it?
I feel confident going into it. I don't necessarily enjoy the meta. I don't think it's the most fun gameplay, but we are definitely prepared for it, and I'm confident going into it with all of our players on the lineup.
All right, and one final last question. The full year ahead, are we looking at another year of domination here for Continuum? You taking home that 6th Invitational title in a few months' time again?
That's the plan. Of course, it's not going to be easy. Teams are looking a lot better this season, and I'm sure us winning 6th Invitational right after winning Season 3 is only going to add fuel to their fire. So.
All right, Thank you very much, Troy. And again, good luck with your game coming up here against Elevate. Thanks for joining us, and I'll see you in a little bit later. That is, of course, Canadian team captain for Continuum, and now we have to look down the rest of their roster. Who the other 4 players on there? You mentioned Slash is a new guy, but there are some familiar faces still.
Yeah, no, we have pretty much the same exact Continuum roster you saw at the Invitational. The one change being Slashug replacing King George TV. Now, Slashug was a player for Era for a good long time. In fact, one of my old teammates, and he's as I can attest personally that he is an extremely calm individual and performs extremely well under pressure, and moreover, a well-rounded player. Now, we've heard people talk about how good of a shield player he is, but in general, you could stick that guy on any role that you want, and he'll fulfill it. So I think SlashUp coming into this Continuum lineup is nothing but reinforcement for them as a team, being those, the Season 3 champions, the world champions from the Invitational, just better and better now. The roster is looking incredibly solid.
All right, so all we have left to do now before we get into this game is decide what maps they're going to be playing this best of 3 on. Let's have a quick look at the map pool, because it has taken some changes once again for this season going into it and fresh from before. Not a lot of crazy mix-ups from what we saw at the end of the last year, but the map pool was decided thanks to a lot of input from the current and the active pro players and prominent members of the community, and well, this is what we came out with. We do have Bank right up at the top, Border, Chalet, Clubhouse, Consulate, Cafe Dostoevsky, Oregon, Skyscraper, and Coastline has been added in place of Canal.
I think it's a really interesting that we rotated Canal out for Coastline, but I also understand it. It's not Canal wasn't really one of those maps that everyone enjoyed playing. It had those long-range angles that just kind of felt a little bit random at times. And Coastline is a well-balanced map, in my opinion. Coming into the Pro League, a lot of teams have picked it up right off the bat. There are some who are a little bit more skeptical, but I think at the beginning, probably in Season 1, we aren't going to see a whole lot of play on Coastline, much like what happened with Skyscraper, for example, or Border even. But leading into the future seasons through this year, I'm confident that we'll see some Coastline.
Well, that's, as you say, what we saw from the Borders and the Skyscrapers. We often see them come out, they'd be added to a map pool for a season, they'd be banned out / ignored for the entire season, and then we get them about a season later.
Yeah.
We've already had that 3-month break here from Coastline.
Yeah, but teams are still a little bit, when you get into the Pro League, I mean, so scrimmage is right, they develop the meta, but when you get into the Pro League and you start showing the cards that you've been hiding under the table as a team, that's the important stuff that's going to come out on top, and I think that's what's going to push people into picking something like Coastline.
All right, so they are good to go. Let's have a look at this pick and ban phase then, as we find out where these 2 teams play. The captains are just settling back in with their squads and figuring out where they're going to go. Continuum are, for the sakes of the picks and bans, kicking us off with the very first ban. So when they're good to go, we'll start things there. From a previous player's perspective, from a maybe not captain's perspective, but where do you see the strength lying in a pick ban phase? Is having that first ban very useful, or would you rather have the last ban?
Sometimes you could think to yourself when you're starting in the ban phase that having the first ban is more important because it gives you the initiative. But honestly, it's going to come down to counterbans, and counterbans can happen anywhere in the ban phase. It doesn't really matter who hits the first or who gets the last ban. I'm honestly, with both of these teams, we're looking at 2 teams who have an extremely wide map pool, especially Continuum. I'm pretty confident that they are confident on all of those maps up there on the board. So I don't think for Continuum they're going to really care. Elevate, they just came over from Xbox. They're moving over to PC now. The meta is different. They will have had less time to prepare for this ban phase. So the likelihood is the pressure's on Elevate here. And I think if I were in Elevate's position, I would want maybe the first ban. But if I were in Continuum's position, I wouldn't really care, to be honest.
So you heard from Elevate guys that they didn't know they were playing Continuum until it went public with the schedule. These teams have been waiting there to find out who their first games are, find out who it is they're up against. Having that late reveal on the information, who did it benefit more? Who comes out on top there?
I'd say it probably benefited Continuum more. Because overall, they're the more well-balanced team that have had more experience and more time to prepare on the PC side. But you have to factor in that Elevate they're not new to the scene overall. They're not just, we're popping in now and we're a brand new team. No, they've been playing on Xbox for the entire time that Siege has been out for the majority of those players. And even with the addition of FPSZ, you have that, PC meta coming in. But I still think that despite that, the slight edge of having more time, more strats already pre-planned on PC, it's just going to help Continuum. I mean, no matter who is surprised, like, there's not really a huge surprise for Continuum here in this matchup, in my opinion. I think even if they were going up against Era first match, then I don't think they would be very surprised.
All right. Well, looking at the maps again and looking at what everyone talked about, Montaigne, Glaz. They are the two big operators now.
Montaigne, Glaz, yeah.
What maps are being brought in for those, or what maps are being removed because of those?
Well, you know, at the initial, when Montaigne meta first came out, I was like, oh, you know, you can only pick him on some maps. You know, he's not all viable on every map. But no. With Montaigne as he is right now, and honestly, I haven't seen what Glaz can do, but the concept behind Glaz. But with Montaigne where he is right now, he's pretty much viable on every map, on every spawn site. You can pick him for anything. Even maps or sites with destructible floors where you're going to have a pulse underneath waiting to C4 your Montaigne, even in that situation, he's still incredibly viable. He is just a wall that you push the team around with. He's a bully. And I don't think he's going to change the pick ban phase at all because he's blanket statement viable, much like what we saw with Blackbeard when he was first released. You can just deny a corridor with a Blackbeard. And he's still useful. Blackbeard's still useful, by the way. But when it comes to Glaz, on the other hand, based upon the concept of what I've seen, the idea of him, because he just came out, I actually haven't seen him played in scrimmages yet. But based upon what the concept of him, I'd say he's probably going to hurt open maps a little bit more. So maps like Bank, maps like Chalet, maps like even maybe Consulate or Skyscraper, for example. But more like Oregon with the basement is not going to be as hurt as much. Border is probably not going to be hurt quite as much. But
You
just
say that.
Yeah.
But you've also then talked about how Montaigne can be used to bully anywhere.
Right.
And so you've got 3 smoke grenades on Montaigne.
Yes.
You've got 3 smoke grenades on Glaz.
Absolutely.
A lot of teams will probably run an Ash in similar setup. So that's 9
Get
smoke
nine
grenades.
smoke grenades. Yeah.
So
This is
open
9
maps suddenly don't become very open when the entire room is smoked.
So yeah, you know, when it comes to Glaz, again, I haven't seen him actually played in the scrimmages yet, and obviously we haven't seen him played in Pro League yet. So I'm not sure how he's going to play out. The concept of throwing down smokes and looking through it and seeing, okay, he's, you know, you obviously win that engagement flat out, is kind of a little bit overrated when people understand it. So the people who are getting shot at from the Glaz, when they understand the concept of it, it can be avoided. But at the same time, he is going to be a dominant driving force, I think, in this meta. We'll wait and find out, obviously, once we get this ban phase sorted and we get into the match. But in the meantime, I don't want to just say anything about Glaz. Like, I don't want to say he's just going to be dominant, much like what we have with Montaigne, because with Montaigne, I know. With Glaz, I haven't seen yet.
All right, so we'll have to wait and see. As you may have figured out, there are a couple of tech issues with this lobby and with the veto system going underway at the moment. Just waiting for the players and get in there and get that finally picked up and decided. Looking a little bit more back at the older stuff, less about the Glaz, less about the Montaigne. Looking at the maps like Clubhouse, looking at the maps like Chalet, which have been here through time and time and through old and test and new since Season 1.
Okay.
Why? What has made those maps such a staple of the game? What is it that makes a great Rainbow Six map?
Well, in the beginning of the game, there weren't as many strats, especially not in the North American scene. Leading into the the seasons after, well, Season 2 and Season 3, strats started to develop more, and the meta started to evolve. And the way that happened was on maps that that had common points of contention. Strats were developed. So let's say that your team wants to open up Church Wall and Clubhouse, and the defensive team would then, so they would receive your new strat for opening up Church Wall and Clubhouse and then planting in Dark Spot. They would receive that strat, and then they would reciprocate with a counter strat that would evolve on that and counter it and move on top of it. And so a map like Clubhouse, for example, especially on Basement, they have those common points of contention where teams would often meet each other and they would understand what one team's trying to do to another. And there are some maps where that's not necessarily the case, or where the points of contention are a little bit more spread out. So the development of the meta on those maps is a lot slower. And when you're not practicing a map as much because the development's slower, you you don't like it as much. When me personally, when I left my team, I found myself playing ranked, right? When I go into a match, I prefer maps that I practiced with my team more frequently because I just had a better understanding of how the map evolved. And yeah, I think that's why Clubhouse, with the common points of contention where being like Blue Room, Construction Tunnel, the stairs, Moto Drop on basement, and then on bar even, which is even sometimes even more common. You have Strip Club, Pool Table, Stock Room, and Construction Doorway to Stock, and then, well, you have a lot of different ones. But my point being is, on that particular map, or on Chalet, for example, which has a lot of other points of contention, people are just more familiar. And thus the strats get developed faster and they get a little bit more in depth, and people build a fondness for that map because of it.
All right, so there's that. Still having a few issues on through, but we'll get on through there and sort it out as things go. I want to dive in a little bit deeper on Continuum, because we've seen a lot about them. We've seen a lot of their play. We've seen a lot of their preferences. They are a very mobile team. We have seen many an opportunity where they will happily jump out of a window and surprise players. They'll play that pulse. They'll gather that info. They will go for the less predictable stuff when they are feeling comfortable with it.
When I talk to, obviously you're referencing Continuum versus Dexterity, the Invitational, of course.
I mean, they did it a couple of other times, but that was a big one.
When I talked to MVK, who walked outside and got a 4K when he was playing against Dexterity at Invitational, when I talked to him after he did that, and I asked him why, his basic response was this. It was, they just weren't expecting it, and we knew they weren't expecting it because we could see the way they were playing. Continuum, and this is especially focused on Canadian, Troy specifically as a player, is a read-focused team. They understand the other team and are able to play off of them. It's something that they've been known for as long as they've been around. And I think going up against a team like Elevate, they're just going to read them. They're going to be like, okay, are you getting really aggressive on us? Are you trying to look for those picks? Are you waiting for us to come outside? Well, then we're just going to get a little bit conserved. We're gonna come back into our site. We're gonna anchor. And now, if they're playing something like what we saw from Dexterity, which interestingly, which wasn't what we were expecting, by the way, they were playing extremely slow. If they're playing something like that, then Continuum's going to take advantage of that. They're going to get that aggression. They're going to start pushing out. But yeah, it's really for Continuum. It just comes down to reads. They see the other team, they understand what they're doing, and they act off of it. And the addition of Slash, I don't think is going to impede that in any way. I think that it will in fact help them with their maneuverability.
Yeah, you mentioned that on the Slash is not only a great shield player, but he's also one of those players you can just put him wherever you need him to be, and he will fill that role. So in a team like Continuum, he can sit there and they've got their ideas, they've got their strats, and Canadian will think of something on the fly, and Slash will just execute it and be great at it. So
Slash got a lot of had a lot of turmoil when he first started out in the scene. When he joined, I think it was Orbit, was when we first started being teammates. He wasn't. People didn't really like him, but seeing his player development, he's improved more than any other player I've ever known. And as a mentality, from what my experience playing with him, he's the most relaxing guy I know. Like, people always ask me, Kickstar, if you could ever make your dream team, who would it be? Who would be on that team? And I always answer, I really don't know overall. Like, you can't say that this guy's the best or that guy's the best at this, or this guy's got the best aim or he's the best strategist. You can't really say that because you don't have the experience with all these different people. But when it comes to overall just a player that I would want on my team, one remains the same, and that'd be Slashug, because he's so relaxed. He's so balanced and coordinated as an individual, and he can make the plays. He's not just a consistent player. He can make the plays. So, I've said this before earlier, but I think that Slashug getting onto CTM, like, people always talk about, okay, is CTM going to be, are they going to maintain their status as the reigning champions? Are they going to be able to win that next season? Are they going to take it all the way to Invitational, or is another team going to come out of nowhere and steal that spotlight away? And I always say that, now I think rather that now that they picked up Slashug, I think that that's going to be the nail in the coffin. I think that that's what's going to solidify, or nail in the coffin, so to speak, for the rest of the scene. I think that's what's going to solidify their spot as the top dog moving into the next season. But that's a big prediction to make, given that we only just started. So we'll wait and see. But yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. You're right. It's a big prediction to make. We have only just started.
Yeah.
But when you're predicting about the current reigning world champions, you can be forgiven a little bit for
Who knows?
that.
Maybe what we're about to see is a straight up 10-0 from Elevate.
Looking at the rest of the scene, and looking at the other 8 or other 7 teams rather
Right.
that have requalified, coming from the open qualifiers, coming from these new squads, who's been your biggest surprise for qualifying into this new season of the Pro League, or who's your biggest upset for teams perhaps not getting into this season of the Pro League?
My biggest surprise, I'm not so sure about my upset. I think for most of the teams that made it in are what I expected to be honest. I really, by the way, I just want to emphasize how incredible this season is. We have more like strong teams coming from every region than we ever have before, and it's fantastic. I love it. But my team to look at overall is Ominous. Ominous is a pretty brand new team really coming into the scene. All of the players have been around for a long time, but they haven't been thrown into this situation, which is Pro League for the most part. And I really, really, really have high hopes for them. I have super high hopes for them, but I want to see how they progress as a team and if they can hold their own when they're playing against other teams who have way more experience than them. They have the skill, but they don't have the experience.
All right, so to get around the current tech issues, we are just banning the old-fashioned way. So we are going through our bans with a nice good old-fashioned pen and paper. So with Continuum kicking us off first, we are seeing, I missed the Continuum ban, but we are seeing Elevate banning Skyscraper.
Yep.
Nothing crazy
Not
surprising
super
out of that one,
surprised, no.
especially considering Continuum
It's
won
one of
the
their
championship
maps.
on it.
Yeah.
Coastline is also now gone from Continuum.
Not surprised at all about that. I mean, it is the new map. We talked about this. Nobody's going to want to play it to start out.
Yeah, that finds up there. It's one of those things that, I mean, we've seen some teams surprise with it in early weeks of Pro League against yourself the last time you played in Season 3.
Yeah.
When Favela was the new map, so to
Yeah.
speak.
If it were going to be a team that was going to surprise with it, it would have been Elevate surprising Continuum. But you're not going to see that happen. And now I think we saw...
We're looking for Continuum's final ban to come on through here. We've still got all the old favorites sitting here open. Bank, Chalet, Clubhouse, Consulate, Cafe. There goes Clubhouse. So that's gone on that from Continuum.
That's kind of interesting to see from Continuum. But maybe, honestly, that might be the we're just sick of playing it ban.
I was going to say, we're sick of playing it. Also, we know you've played it a lot.
Yeah,
Everybody's
played it a
and
lot.
we know you're probably weaker on some of the other lesser known maps, so let's just force you onto a lesser known map.
Good point, yeah.
So as Elevate think it on over and make their decisions for their third and final ban, we're looking towards our first possible picks. Elevate picking Cafe Dostoyevsky. Okay,
I think
so
we
I
missed
lost track of 2 bans.
We
Never
missed
mind.
a couple bans.
Continuum are going to be attacking on Cafe Dostoyevsky first. Okay. And Continuum are going to be picking. So we missed the first 2 bans. We'll get to those in a minute. Technology is the best.
So yeah, Cafe. Now Cafe is... Okay, so sounds like we're just going to have Oregon too.
Yep. Oregon is going to be our second map then. Continuum pick. And Continuum are going to be attacking it. So Continuum are attacking first both on Cafe and on Oregon.
That's an interesting that they gave the attack to Continuum because, I mean, Montaigne Glass? Anyone? You know, it's the meta is shaping up to be a way where the attacking team have all of the initiative, and they just gave away that initiative. So, but so Cafe, Oregon, and then Coastline is the Consulate.
Chalet and
decider.
Bank were the 2 maps that we missed. So Cafe picked first, Oregon picked second, and Consulate is our third and final deciding.
So Cafe, as we all know, very vertical. It's got that open corridor that leaves the defenders the option to always rotate. Now, that's something that a lot of people don't think about. On certain maps, there's like 1 or 2 staircases where the defenders can rotate it to behind the attackers. But on Cafe, there's this big railing that you could just vault over whenever you want if you're defending upstairs, or even if you're roaming upstairs, where you can always end up behind the defender or the attackers, which forces the attackers to attack from, well, just outside on the windows for the most part.
But the other thing that Cafe has, especially in that top floor bomb site over here, is there are 2 routes up the stairs.
Yes,
for a Montaigne.
Yeah, so
Other than that, he's got to jump through a window, which is very exposed.
Yeah. So there are a lot of options for the Montaigne. but you know, he's a Montaigne. He'll find a way. But moving into Oregon, Oregon is, I think it's a well-balanced map. I think it falls into the category of what people talk about when they talk about chalet or clubhouse. It's go-to. It's something that, you know, everybody kind of enjoys. There are some teams that I have talked to that aren't really fond of it, but I think for the most part, it's all around one of those old go-to maps. And it varies, much like Clubhouse, where on Clubhouse you have the basement that's hard anchor, and then you have the first floor, which is just loose. It's the same, really. But kind of more in the opposite direction. When you're defending an upstairs on Oregon versus where you're defending an upstairs basement on Oregon, the basement is the one where you have to have presence upstairs because it's very difficult to stop a plant just on top of that dryer when you come down those stairs. Yes, you have smokes. Yes, you have C4. And yes, you can just simply rush out. But a lot of the time, teams, especially attacking teams, will bait out all that utility, and then they'll just have somebody wash for the rush. So you have to have a presence on the roam, otherwise it's extremely difficult to hold. And we've seen time and time again defensive teams on that basement on Oregon just let somebody walk into the site after all the smokes and C4 have been expended, just lay down smokes, watch from the drop, and plant on top of the dryer. And it's happened a lot. So, but whereas upstairs is, I feel like, a little bit more of a heavy anchor map or site, because when you're roaming, your only real options are you can roam in meeting hall / tower, and that will give you flexibility and it will give you opportunities to shoot the attackers from behind. But you're also putting yourself open to being cut off by the attacking team, because all they have to do is then watch meeting hall. And, you know, you could say open up a rotation hole to upstairs from the sky bridge, but then you can watch that from the roof as an attacker. I mean, anyway, it's a lot more of a centered site, in my opinion. And then moving into the final map, we have Consulate. It's another old map. It is really open all the time on every site, and each and every one of the sites is vulnerable vertically all the time. And it's kind of a constant with the map. It's almost like a rectangle, really, that just you're fighting every which way all the time. It's kind of the definition of the map.
That makes sense, yeah.
And it is a strat-heavy map in the sense that you have to have an understanding of who's doing what, but it's not really, it's more dynamic than any other map I know. And that's something that a lot of teams don't really, or not rather teams, but a lot of people don't see, is that each map is, or people talk about Siege being so strat heavy, or Xbox being strat heavy, or PC being strat heavy, but it really sometimes just comes down to the map.
We have all 10 players in the lobby, and we are good to go with Cafe Dostoevsky. We are done rambling. So let's get this game underway. First game of Year 2, Season 1, Arena 6, a PC Pro League here for North America is finally underway, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your patience. Let's get into Continuum versus Elevate on Cafe Dostoevsky, the first in this brand spanking new best of 3. Shocking picks coming out of Continuum to begin with. No Montaigne for now, though.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you're going to go for that super aggressive lineup, it makes sense to bring a Glass to replace the Montaigne. It means that you're going to take a lot less time with your push and probably just go straight for those picks. Having the smokes, being able to look straight through them, that's going to open you up for just that.
So
defending top floor first from Elevate, that makes a lot of sense. A lot of teams, I think at the beginning, it used to be teams would often try to defend, the earlier seasons, they would try to defend train first, but most teams are starting to favor the upstairs bomb site.
So, as you may have noticed, there may not be an issue on this one. So, while they get this lobby remade, while they get this solved and sorted, we are going to run to a very short commercial break, so you don't have to stare at our faces for a whole lot longer. So, while that gets set up with the production and the players get back on into a proper lobby, we're going to run to a short 3-minute break and give everyone a chance to reset and to rebreathe and to begin that slow climb back into our first game of the night. We will get a game going in a moment. It's the first week. There's going to be teething issues. Either way, guys, thank you so much for the patience. Thanks for sticking around. We'll be back in just a moment with the proper start to this game. ladies and gentlemen. As we said, we are moments away. Let's look at Cafe Dostoevsky. It is our opening map here between Continuum and Elevate. It is going to be Cafe Dostoevsky, followed by Oregon, followed by, if required, Consulate. Everyone knows Cafe Dostoevsky has an upstairs bomb site, it has a train museum, a downstairs bomb site, but then it has that third and final downstairs bakery bomb site. Now, it is the least popular, it is a bit stretched, and it is a bit out there. But we've also had other maps where we've thought the same thing about plenty of other bomb sites. Oh, some player would never go there, the tower bomb site in Oregon. We've seen things like that everyone went, no, go there.
Right.
But then teams have done it, they pulled out a strategy, came out of the bag, came out of the blue, surprised everyone, get to win with it. Is the bakery one of those sites, or is it really that bad?
I mean, okay. So the great thing about Siege, that I think is what makes it one of the greatest esports, is the fact that each and every map and site, by extension, is moldable into something that is viable. Technically speaking, you could make it work. But for what I've seen personally from that particular site so far, is that the only way to make it work is to get really aggressive on the attackers, just peek out everything all at once and I don't like when you're picking it in Pro League, and if you decide to do that, it's going to scream, first of all, the fact that, okay, they're going to peek outside, just be ready, pre-aim all the windows, and in a Pro League setting, it's just not going to work. But, I mean, you could do it. There's a way, especially with the addition of Mira. I think that you could technically like put a Mira window in the kitchen facing towards the bakery side of things, and it'll give you a lot of options to defend the site. To be honest, overall, you could make that work. But again, it would be a huge leap for a team to do something like that in this setting. I don't really see. I don't see Continuum as being that kind of an innovative team where they're going to go out and do something completely new on this different site. I could be wrong. I don't see that from them. Possibly from Elevate, given that they, in the Xbox meta, on maps like, for example, Chalet, they would defend Bar for a long time, going into even Season 3. And it worked for them. So maybe from a team like Elevate, we're going to see a kitchen defense, but I would be surprised.
Yeah, I still think it's very unlikely. It's not there. I just wanted you to explain why.
Mira is the key to that. I think if we're gonna go to kitchen, it's gonna be.
Are there any other bomb sites that Mira on her own has made viable? Because she's a very good operator now and brings a lot to the defensive side.
I mean, in theory, she could make each and every one of the different bomb sites more viable. Like for example, I talked about earlier on Clubhouse Basement, where we have the utility, your C4, your smokes, and then you have just rushing. And that's the best you can do. Well, you also have the Miras now that give you that information to really definitively know when they're going to be making their push, and you can better time your utility at least. Yes, you have Valkyrie cameras which do that as well, but they can get shot. So she does help a lot. I think Mira's going to make a big impact in the meta for this coming Pro League because she gives this kind of information, and moreover, you can just peek somebody and they won't be able to respond at all. But
yes,
we get to play.
We're going again.
Woo!
This time, Continuum versus Elevate here on Cafe Dostoevsky, the first in our best of 3 here for Season 1 of our Year 2 Rainbow Six PC Pro League. Loading on in, this time over. Elevate on defense first, currently choosing the bar and the cocktail lounge on that top floor, facing off against Continuum, who are bringing that sledge to glass to the table, but, as previously noticed, no Montagne.
Yeah, no, I think... if I were to guess, okay, well, yes, we were talking about earlier how they're probably going to play a little bit more aggressive. They're going to throw down the smokes to try and challenge and win the engagements. And Montaigne's, while he does bring smoke to the playing field, he doesn't bring gunfight-esque kind of aggression. He brings aggression, absolutely. He forces the playing field, forces the defenders back. But that's not necessarily what the attackers are going for. They don't want the defenders to run away. They don't want them to push back. They want to challenge them. They want to throw down their gauntlet and be like, we're going to win this firefight, and you better deal with it. So that's what I'm seeing from Continuum right here. I'm really curious to see if it's going to pay off for them, or if maybe it's entirely possible that I'm wrong, and what is instead happening here is Continuum's just trying to shy away from the Montaigne meta. Who knows? Not everyone's really happy about it right now, to be honest, in the pro scene. But moving into the match now, it looks like Elevate's going to be having a heavy roaming presence, likely on this particular bomb site. That's kind of the point.
I mean, they wanted to give off the impression they did, if nothing else.
Yeah,
They've opened a lot of the windows downstairs. They made a lot of noise down there. but then have since brought all but Zed back upstairs.
Zed is one of the oldest roaming bandits in the game, so he has a lot of experience with this.
And he will get the first kill of the game. Then MVK drops down, taking that Ash out inside the kitchen. Zed can be very happy with that pick. He's cautious of any follow-up, but there isn't anyone else there. The rest of Continuum still pressuring the outside of the map.
That's a big operator and, moreover, a big player off the board already for Continuum. That's a lot of cards on the table for Elevate.
Okay. Jones heading up towards the piano room, heading up towards this top floor and checking out what's waiting for them on there.
This is what we expect to see. Because, you know, on most teams, what they do when they're attacking this particular bomb site is, well, they take piano. They go straight in through piano. And they had the aggression on the roamer downstairs, but now they're just trying to play it more what we expect to see and push their way into piano, get that wall open, and try and get the plant.
So as they head on in, Glaz is already inside that cigar room, checking his way across the bar, using a smoke grenade in the door to see what's waiting for him. As he then comes on in, Hibana will open that wall up right next to him, checks towards the next corridor and is aggressively peeking each of these angles. He has had this drone in there to help give him some of this information, keep an eye on what's coming this way. And they are starting to hem Elevate into these spots. However, they haven't done anything about that bandit that was downstairs yet. He's going to start slowly making his way back up somewhere soon. Will they be ready for him?
It looks as if their policy with this attack is to just simply try and ignore the bandit, given that they've already lost their their roamer hunter to him.
Slash up here above the trapdoor does get shown to Zed, who will tag him up but can't kill him off. But he's done his job. He's keeping Slash occupied, keeping him busy, keeping him watching this staircase and on this top of the roof now. As Geo uses his C4 to take down Young. There goes the Hibana. But Glaz using another smoke grenade has got himself inside the A site and picked up the first kill for the attacking team. On to the top of the bomb site, he's going to flank back and find Zed behind him. Canadian with 2. Looks for one more in the freezer, but England was waiting and is now flicked back to Cigar to keep cover on that angle. 2v3. Glaz did what he could to try and get the numbers back in. Slash peeks on him, but he won't win that fight. England with good SMG-11 play to finish off Slash. It means Necrox now has 3 to find on his own with 25 seconds to go. England tucked in the back of the freezer. He already knows about him. He has no idea about the other 2. He's got 15 seconds now to make the push, and well, he's inside a smoke grenade. It's going to loosen him up. Will get one onto Geo. Looks for the next one, but England's got a shotgun out this time, and it is round 1 in the bag for Elevate.
So, a little bit of a loss at the beginning of the round where they where NVK died to FPS Zed at the basement. Now that's their roamer hunter right off the board. It looked almost as if the droners for the roamer hunter weren't actually didn't find Zed, and NVK got caught off a little bit off guard. So that put CTM at a disadvantage early on. But moving into the future, they just simply decided to ignore the bandit from that point on. They didn't try to trade it back. They had no one in position to, so they had to take their time, what they had left, and focus it entirely on a piano push, and it just didn't work out. They didn't have, honestly, I feel like the lack of a Montaigne in that situation is what hurt them a little bit, and here we're seeing it again, no Montaigne. Now you have to wonder if there's something going on here that...
Well, I said it before, how do you get a Montaigne into this bomb site? You have to repel him through a window, in
You
which
have to
case
repel
his
him
shield
through
is
a
irrelevant, or you have to walk him up one of these staircases,
You
in
could-
which case there's a smoke waiting there for you.
The predictable fashion to get a Montaigne into this particular bomb site is to drop him down red drop, or red stairs drop to be specific, which is the drop down above red stairs. But it's pretty easy to kill him in that situation. Maybe just stack a bunch of barbed wire at the bottom, then throw a smoke once he drops. He can't escape it now. Oh no. But you know, it becomes a question then of how worth it is it to invest the utility that is necessary, like grenades to get rid of barbed wire, flashbangs to get rid of ADS, or Thatcher grenades to get rid of ADS. How worth it is to invest the utility into simply getting a Montaigne into the building? Or is it just better to play another operator who can play more dynamically? And I think that's what the Glaz is in this instance.
Yeah, both these teams so far choosing to go with the other operator approach. Now we saw Canadian very aggressively using that Glaz, smoking every doorway, using that to 1, cover his crossing, 2, look through the smoke and see if he could pick up a kill someone wasn't paying attention, and did it very well, getting inside the site before anyone else, picking up 2 important kills. Now, as we mentioned, unfortunately his team had lost a lot of other people before that though. But it's a very effective use. However, Zed seems to, for now, be a little bit more cautious and slow as they are making sure the bottom floor is completely empty.
They have spent an entire minute checking that bottom floor, and they haven't made any progression up until just now. But it also seems like it seems like Continuum's not really going to punish them for it. They're not going to try and emphasize that roam hunt to try and hold them any longer. So Elevate just 1 minute off the board, and now they know no roamers on the bottom floor.
No, but they haven't checked the middle floor yet, and there's a pulse sitting there with, of course, that heartbeat sensor in the C4 underneath a lot of the plantable locations for these upstairs bomb sites.
Not just a lot of the plantable location, but a lot of the ground that you give the attackers by default, and that is piano and the piano bar, or even the coming out of red stairs into cigar. He can C4 all of that.
He did just catch a heartbeat on that, and it was, well, we know it to be Glaz. Sees one more in piano and sees one more repelling up, feeding all of this information across to his team, of course. So they will start to know who is coming from where, or rather the numbers and where they're coming from. C4 up through the hole, did get heard, and it was avoided by everyone up and above that trapdoor. Zed using these smoke grenades, covering the door and covering Cigar himself to have a sight line in towards the bar itself. Smokes are starting to dissipate now though, and he hasn't really got a chance to use them for much more, as he was spotted by a camera and is having trouble trying to find it. As he does peek across now, the smoke just starts to tick away. Canadian makes himself known as he comes up from behind, takes down Gio, and he continues to aggressively come up. Zed's expecting him further down, and that gives Canadian another kill. He will finally fall, but he's done his job, taking down 2 with him, including that very powerful Glaz. England is low as he gets sprayed down through some smoke. Skies picks up a kill onto Young himself, but then will be traded out by MVK, who is traded straight back by England as well. He is inside the site, and the diffuser went down, but he's quickly killed off. Easily now up and above the trapdoor, above the skylight. He's in a 1v1 with Slash. Slash knows he's there. Slash is scared as those shots come in, but the flashbangs are now going to drop down through the hole. Slash is sitting right next to the diffuser. Easily confident that he's not actually holding the diffuse here. Now he's going to give it a go. Flashbangs are still falling down through the top. He does peek just in time and easily gives Elevate a second round.
Now that was a really interesting plant by Elevate. What you saw there was they opened up the wall from piano, but they did not open the wall going into freezer. And I really like that decision, because oftentimes I find when a team is attacking that top floor, they open up the wall into freezer and then get caught off by a smoke playing in deep in freezer. They can't win against the SMG-11. They can't win against the shotgun. And even if they start progressing on them with like a Montaigne, they're just smoked out. There's no real option. There's no way to push in there. So what they did instead was they opened the wall to the left of that, and they pushed their way. They smoked it off, first of all, after that, and then they just pushed behind the bar and behind the tables, and they planted. And there was nothing really that CTM could do to stop them, especially after Pulse died on the red stairs.
All right, so we've switched up bomb sites. Elevate are forced to switch up bomb sites. Continuum knew this, still opted for no Montaigne. So they are going for this similar push, despite the less restrictive nature of this downstairs site.
Right. I'm looking to see from Elevate, I expect, or what I want to see from them is some presence upstairs, right? So what we're going to probably see from Continuum is they're going to try and take above and then start opening up the floor and shooting down at the guys in sight. So I want to see Elevate, I want them to maintain a presence upstairs, but I don't want them to sacrifice anything for it. Now, what oftentimes you'll see from a team in this situation is they'll play 2 people upstairs in piano, and they will grit their teeth and die in piano to the attackers repelling on the windows. But I don't think that's the right way to go about it. I think the correct way to be going about something like this would be to have your guys upstairs try to stall as much as they can, and then have the people downstairs on the site level, instead of playing in the site, once the attackers have dominated piano, then have them, flow out of the site, forfeit it, or just give it to the enemy team, and play for a retake. I've seen that work time and time again on this particular site. Playing for a retake, playing around lounge and just in the general red hall area has worked extremely well for a number of teams I've seen. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what Elevate does. And it does look like CTM has established themselves upstairs, but they still have this Pulse to contend with.
Yeah, they've droned him a couple of times. They know he's up there. They're trying to hunt him down now and pin him into certain areas of the site. He is just going to use his heartbeat sensor to try and keep an eye on what's coming his way. Slash inside the freezer did tag him as he sprayed through the wall, and that's enough for Skies to get himself down and away. Using that rotate down, he was up here as long as he could. And well, now Continuum realize he's gone. They have control of this upper floor completely. Can start pressuring down through the floor below. Minute 38 on the clock. Is still plenty of time to get this done, but England is starting to pick off some kills as once again, Glaz is taken out of the picture.
And that's a big thing to have off the board. That's a lot of firepower. And Glaz, not only can he see through smokes, and not only does he have the thermal vision, but he also he does a lot of damage. He's got a lot of HP, and he's a good overall operator, even without the new buff.
So, Croc starts to drone in from these outer windows towards the train room itself. Smoke grenades coming up through the hole in piano room, trying to lock some players up there. More information being fed back and forth as MBK starts to make his way down the stairs towards the inside of the site. Now Crocs picks up the first for Continuum as he takes out Geo, but Young will be taken out by England quickly after. MBK pushing the back corridor as his team is falling apart around him. Slash, though, helps to bring it back in with a kill onto England and make it a 3v3. Slash, though, is low now because of it and has to drone back up and above the piano room once more. Skies has come down to join his team and is now starting to heartbeat around. That breaching charge will give an idea to MVK and give some vision this way, but doesn't actually show where Skies is. Zed picks off Necrox now, meaning the defense once again have the advantage. Breach charge is used onto the barbed wire, and MVK and Slash are alone against 3 with no diffuser. Slash picks it up upstairs now as they do push MVK inside the A-bomb site. Zed has an angle through the wall, just misses MVK's head as MVK turns around. And he now switches it up so easily as that. Sky's holding off from inside. Christmas already gives up 1. Slash now drops through the hatch, takes out easily, but he's got 2 to find, 6 seconds on the clock, and he has to plant. Steps on in and he turns his back to Zed, who will easily clean that up and give Elevate a 3-0 lead.
Now this is not what anyone expected, but there is still chance. There is still a chance for Continuum to make a comeback here. They have to win this defense, though. They have to win this upstairs defense. And now that they've seen the way that Elevate is handling their push into the site by blowing up that wall and smoking it off and just simply planting behind the tables, we have to wonder if they're going to be able to put something in place to counter it. Maybe the Pulse is going to be able to come into red hallway now and C4 under the planter instead of trying to linger on the guys in piano or throw them up through cigar drop. But that was, on the note of that last round, that was an actual, just honestly an overall good take from Elevate. Sorry, not a good take from Elevate. A good hold from Elevate. They played extremely passively. They didn't challenge any angles that they didn't need to. And as you saw there at the end, especially MVK, he was looking for somebody to shoot. He kept looking and looking through all these different holes that the defenders had set up to stop him from progressing. And ultimately, he ran out of time to look. He had to force himself into the site, and they hadn't challenged him the whole time. They let him in, and they went for that retake. They went for, okay, yeah, he's already in the site now, but that doesn't matter because he can't do anything, because we have lines of sight into the site from everywhere. So that's kind of what I was talking about earlier, is you really cannot let yourself, as an attacker, just not get those kills, not get those picks before you push in.
So, 3-0 up. Elevate sitting pretty now, and once more on the attack. Bringing themselves a Thermite to this top floor now. We saw them do it before, and they opened up, as you say, one of the walls from piano, but not both of them. Not the one to Freezer.
And I think that was the right call, because it restricts the defenders then. You know, instead of giving them an open book to just go ahead and do whatever the hell they want to with.
Plus, you don't forget, this is also the changed Thermite, the very easy to control recoil now on this Thermite too. So
that gun is fantastic.
Once he's got his charges used up, he becomes a killing machine himself. So an even stronger operator than he perhaps was before.
Similar to the L85, if you can hit the headshots with that gun, it's a beast of a gun. But even so, it hits hard too. So if you go for the torso, you're still pretty good shape.
Now, drones start coming in now as they've opened up the hatch up top again, looking for people moving around the top floor, people out of position, maybe a quick pick off, but no one really exposing themselves to that, despite how mobile Continuum are being. NVK on the basement, or the third floor, lower floor level. Canadian in the middle floor once again. So they are using this to late rotate up and gather information about it, once again using the heartbeat sensor, but Elevate are droning and gathering information of their own, formulating a plan. Doesn't seem to have too much of an idea of where or what it wants to be yet. They can't be far away from it, as they're only a minute and 20 from the end of the round.
Yeah, the only progress they've made so far is now they're opening up the red 2 piano wall. That's about it. And there's only a third of the round left. That's cutting it pretty close.
Yeah, NVK now back inside Christmas corridor, looking up towards the bomb site. Inside piano, then they have now got Ash and Thermite.
You can see here they're clearly trying to set up for the same exact take that they had last time, which should lead to, I think they're going to have plenty of time for this execution, as long as they get the smokes down, as long as they have the adequate cover and don't get rushed. But also, is Canadian going to be ready for that bomb plant in the same exact corner? And it looks like that's exactly what he's waiting for.
He's expecting it. He's hiding underneath it. He's got NVK covering a lot of his angles and feeding and making sure no one comes down to pick him off. Smoke grenades are coming in.
Is he going to go for the
England
plant?
is inside the site. Double checks it. Goes for another C4 on up. There's the diffuser down and exposed. Just in case he wasn't dead. Geo, though, will pick up a kill of his own. MVK has fallen, so that was the cover that Canadian had. Skies has picked up Young, so despite the number advantage briefly being in the defense favor, it's quickly swung back the other way. Canadian underneath gets a kill, but as Geo trades him out, as Zed has picked off one more, and with that kill from Easily, Elevate are up to match point.
4-0 on Cafe. Now, I didn't expect a 4-0 at all, and I most certainly did not expect a 4-0 in Elevate's favor. Now, this might just be a case of it being a map that favors Elevate, but it kind of looked like it kind of looks like CTM's just kind of losing their engagements, to be completely honest. Now, you saw that round; it got down to I think about 40 seconds, and nobody had shot at anybody at that point. There was no engagements. It was 5v5. The C4 went off on the planner, and then just CTM melted with 30 seconds left on the clock. And all they had to do was wait out those 30 seconds and deny them picking up that bomb. And it just didn't happen. And you have to wonder what's going on with CTM right now where they're losing these fights.
See, what impressed me most there, though, was that Continuum had adjusted their play. They knew what Elevate were going to do,
Yeah.
and they were ready for it. They had their two players downstairs. The players upstairs stayed safe. They stayed alive. They were there till the last 40 seconds. MVK was covering Canadian. Canadian blew up the planter. MVK, yes, got killed, but then they couldn't kill Canadian. He was still down there again. Despite all of that seemingly going in Continuum's favor, he stopped two separate planters.
And then they...
Somehow, Elevate managed to very quickly get back on that horse, figure out where and what was going wrong. Oh, that's
Oopsie.
a bit awkward. Sky is taking out Zed to help Continuum along, I suppose, as they try and spawn.
I did that to Zed once. I did that same exact thing to Zed once.
I did it, but it was on purpose.
No, I did it, but I did it in Pro League. In the same setting, I did that to him. Rip Zed. I'm sorry, man. Please forgive me. Anyway, so a man off the board already for Elevate, so that's really good. But moving back to what you were talking about, you're right. So Elevate fell into Continuum's trap that they laid out so perfectly, and then it just didn't matter.
Yep.
It was Elevate, they pushed for it, and they got it. And it was really impressive play by Elevate. I mean, we're talking about CTM like they're doing something wrong, but really we have to attribute a lot of this to Elevate just winning these fights and getting so aggressive at the right moments. And it's honestly incredibly impressive from them.
So, 4v5 with their bandit already dead. That very impactful Roma already dead that they have had in rounds previously. So we'll see if that changes how Continuum play now. Now, they previously ignored that Roma for most of the round anyway. Now, it was a downfall because he did damage to them. This time he won't. Geo, however, has taken out Canadian with that C4 once again. Glad's taken off the table very early on. Both of these teams seem to want to use him because he's very strong and know they need to use him because he's very strong. But apart from that opening round with Canadian before, haven't really actually had him make much of an impact.
Right. Yeah, Glaz has been getting pretty realistic, or pretty systematic. Ooh, that was a nice angle from
That was a very nice angle from Easily to pick up that kill. Slash has traded Geo straight back, but I almost feel like Ash would have got that kill. MVK would have got that kill on Easily if he had been able to shoot when he first saw Easily. But because the teammate ran across in front of him, he hesitated for a moment.
Absolutely. No, I've been in those I've been in those circumstances quite a bit, and I can definitely agree with you. Sometimes it just gets a little distracting when your teammates are in front of you.
That moment of hesitation gave Easily the opportunity to shoot first. And now, they're 3v3.
Here we go.
Grenade goes into the back of the freezer, does down Slash. Does down England. They knew he'd be hiding in there. But with that, Easily trades another one back before getting taken out. Necrox and Easily trade with each other. It's now 2v1. Skies is alone against Young and Slash. He could still end this in a 5-0.
Oh no, but it's a pulse from underneath.
He did get an idea of where the plant was coming through. He downed that player, but he may not be aware of it. That was the diffuser player. Now he's going to see Young. Oh, the headshot was moments away, but Young gets the better aim. Just after he finishes the revive, stands on up and seals a first round in the bag for Continuum.
And you could see that little burst after the round had already ended from Young on the wall. That's him saying, all right, here we go. We're waking up now. Things are happening. We have a round on the board. We could progress as a team, hopefully. But we'll see what happens. I want to talk about real quick the fact that that round came so close, and right off the bat, yes, okay, Bandit hadn't been influencing the rounds a whole lot in the past, but moreover, it was still a 4v5, and it came down to a 1 versus 2 in the end, and even a 1. You could say 1 versus a 1.5 with a down player. I really want to see from Continuum here that they win this upstairs defense, because this is what people consider on Cafe to be the bomb site that is easily defended. There's only so many things you have to think about as a defender here. There's only so many factors you have to factor in. I mean, they need to win this bomb site. I mean, obviously they have to because of the map. You know, it would be over. But moreover, for their mentality's sake, I think they need to bring this back and at least put up a fight in this particular match.
I love that scoreboard there from Elevate. I don't know if you caught it, but
I did not.
they've all got a very even 6, 4, 5 kills apiece. There's
All
no
contribute.
one player stepping up and doing all the work here. There's no
Right.
There's no Zed. Yes, his roam has been great, but it's not been his roam that's gone around and killed 4 out of 5 players every round.
Right.
Like, everyone is doing their job very cleanly, very efficiently, to the point where they are all carrying their weight and they are working very well as a squad.
If I
Now-
could say about, sorry, go ahead.
No, go on. I was going
Alright.
to switch the topic to Mirror, so.
If I could say about teamwork and being on a team with numerous, like having been on a team with a lot of people, one thing that I will say is that when you're in that exact situation where you've got every single player contributing and you see the nasty shots that your teammates are hitting, and it just instills so much confidence in you. Personally, like it brings you up, it lifts you up. It's like, my team has got my back and I trust them. And even at the highest level with the best teams who are the best friends, sometimes you can lose that confidence. Sometimes that goes away if your
Like
team isn't
when you
performing.
team kill a teammate at the start of the round?
Well, yeah, but that was on the team that we're talking about being, you know. But yes, no, you're right. I hope they had a good laugh about that. But
They did.
they probably did.
Easily picking up the opening kill of this round. Slasher goes down, and it is 5v4 once again in favor of Elevate on attack. The Bandit is taken out of the picture. Thankfully, once again, he's one of the less important operators to keep alive as the round begins, because of course all of his gadgets are placed, all of his job is done before it starts. But having that extra gun off the table could really hurt here, and they are already pushing inside Piano now, thanks to that man being dead.
Can I just say, this is the same exact thing that we've seen time and time again from Elevate. There's this strat
It
is
ain't broke.
exactly. But moreover, are you gonna be able to counter it this time, CTM? Because you tried last time and it worked. Your trap worked.
Well, they tried,
Oh,
right? And they
early.
did this time. Canadian was underneath Zed, knew they were going to come into Piano, C4s him straight out of the picture. They've also brought the mirror, which they haven't had in the previous rounds.
Right.
And he has that sightline into Piano like he did before. Sorry, like they never had before.
Yeah.
He just opened that mirror window. We heard it there just as we switched away from her. So he also now has a fire line into the Piano room as well. So they are changing their defense, and down to a minute on the clock, Elevate do seem a little bit more lost now than they did do before. And they're losing
There's
more
another
players,
C4.
as young as another C4 kill onto England. That was a different mirror window.
This information coming from the Mira is winning them this round, straight up. I think, honestly, I think that pulse from below might have even been a Mira call, because that was in Mira's line of sight. It could have been the pulse, but either way, the information game here for
I'm
CTM.
sure she
is
called
what-
that the wall was
Right,
blown. And
right,
then,
absolutely.
Yeah, he heartbeat for the
was
precision,
ready for
but
it.
yeah, it's definitely a combination of both. One mirror window you see open there into the freezer, so they've got to be cautious of that. Mirror herself is actually on the other wall next to it. Jaeger in the corridor at the backside, and
Ooh.
Blueprints does down, or get downed rather, by Gio before killing him, but Necrox and Young quickly clean up the 2 remaining headshots and get Continuum one more round.
And here's the CTM that we all expect to see. That shot that Jaeger hit in that hall, we didn't get to see it, but he should not have won that engagement. He shot, I think there were 3 bullets coming out of the rifle of the attacker there, and then he just hit that snap headshot, that one tap onto the attacker's head. Got downed, but ended up trading it, and it put him in the advantage. That's what we expect to see from CTM. That's what we want. And now we're in 2-4. 2 rounds in a row. Obviously, it's not back in it yet, but they're getting there.
They are onto defense again now. Elevate, they're going back up into that top floor location, something they've been very successful with in their previous few attempts when they weren't killing each other. So if they do play this round out with a full 5 players back on the board, we'll have to see what Continuum have done and learnt. Because, to be fair, even the last round which they did win, yes, they were 4v5, but other than that, they changed nothing about their own play, really. They did the same thing they did, got away with it because there was one less player and they ended up in a 2v1. But if that was a 2v2 at that point, one of them is down by that C4, and that could have given that say, remaining bandit an easy cleanup for the last round. Like that lack of player was a big impact. I didn't feel like Continuum really changed much else around the way they attacked that.
No, I completely agree. And as I stated when that round was over, it's like it shouldn't have been that close, CTM. It should have been a lot more definitive. You're starting the round out with the player up. You didn't even have to shoot him. They shot him for you. But now, moving into this round, I really want to see if how they're going to change, adapt their attack. Or they have to. They can't just do the same thing over and over again. They didn't bring a Thermite, so they're not going to try and mimic what Elevate has been doing, which has been reliably working. And they haven't changed pretty much. I don't think they've changed much of anything about their lineup, to be honest.
No, not really. So let's see how they choose to use it instead. Hatch is opened up nice and early again. Drones going down through, checking from below, checking the staircases.
And they're setting up these claymores to try and watch the runouts. Now that's pretty much all that both these teams have been doing that this whole time, and I mean it's very predictable. But now 2 minutes on the clock. They haven't done a lot for as far as roaming, hunting roamers, and now they've got to push into Piano with a Pulse still sitting down in train, and he's completely unchallenged as of this moment. He is nice and tucked away in his little train, and he can pounce at any moment, and anyone who comes into Piano, and he's got his prey in sight, and he looks like he's getting ready to C4. Oh, but the drone sees
still
him.
repelling, so it's not quite good to go with it yet. But yes, that drone did see him, so now they know the idea is there, and of course they should do. They used that very same plan themselves.
Yes.
Moments ago. So those heartbeats are now being picked up inside Piano, but of course when they're on the Piano itself, that's an indestructible lump of floor. So they're keeping themselves aware and mobile while they do know he is underneath, and he is of course feeding information to his team. He's thinking about this window, but of course there's flame on. Does change his mind just at the right moment, as the drone did spot him heading that direction.
He is wasting a ton of time.
Yeah, they are wasting a lot of time droning for him here, and actually they may have think he's gone now. Yeah, here we go, Necrox is coming in. He thinks that Pulse has moved on, but he is going to be wrong, and Geo gets the headshot onto Necrox and takes him out. Not only was the time wasted, the kill was gained, and now Pulse is back to having free roam of that floor underneath the very, very destructible Piano.
There's only 1 minute left, guys. Come on.
Easily taken out by Canadian, so we do start to have a little bit back in Continuum's favor. Another one coming on through. He's missing a lot of these shots. The smoke will get away with it. The C4 has been used by the Pulse. Canadian will fall, and the C4 got no kill. But England's shotgun is there. The plant did go through. Geo trades out Slash after Young has finished off England. It's back to a 3v2, but Skies is downed. He's going to get revived up, so it is now back to 3v2 solidly. Young just narrowly escapes the backside of Geo's bullets as they're pushing back into the bar. NVK makes it a 2v2 as Zed will fall. Firing in towards the freezer now. He's going to see his feet coming on through. Geo unsure, cautious of where these two are, loses track of Young and will pay for it with his life. Skies is now in a 1v2 and is being cornered in from both sides. Despite being on the defense here with the bomb down, this is a very aggressive play from Continuum. This C4 will miss. They've fallen back on now, and NVK and Young clean up Geo and Skies with a beautifully played after plant to give Continuum 4 rounds to 3.
And now that's 3 rounds in a row for Continuum. Now it's looking good for them, but each of one of these rounds is close. This is the sort of close, though, that we expected to see from the get-go, that we wanted it to be a close round match. But at the beginning, there was just a steamroll, and now we're seeing Continuum put up a fight. But every round they win is 2 people alive or 1 person alive, and it's scary.
Well, to be fair, this is Continuum. They normally do it a little bit quicker than 4 rounds, but it takes them a while to feel out their opponents, learn their opponents, and then play around their opponents, right?
No, you're
no
totally
matter
right.
how much scrimming, no matter how much planning, they always have to play a couple of rounds against their team, lose them perhaps, or marginally win them just about before they come back and go, all right, we got your number now. This is our game. And then
because they're the counter strat team. They're the read the other guy's team. You're right. You're absolutely right. And this is definitely seeming like it is that sort of situation where CTM is starting to figure out Elevate, where they've got their number, as you said, and they're starting to play off of them. Will it work out for them, though, on their first time trying to defend Train Reel? Because we haven't seen this yet, and they don't know how Elevate's going to handle this particular attack. Continuum's been defending upstairs this entire time because they haven't been, as of until recently, unable to win it. So now Elevate's got their one last chance to keep this from going into overtime by locking it out on the one particular site that Continuum has as of yet to defend. Or not, they haven't defended it yet.
The question is, though, will the lack of information help Elevate,
Mhm.
or will it help Continuum? They are bringing their mirror back to the table. The information she garnered them last round did a lot of work for them. However, young players, they have switched up who it is that is playing the operator. If that changes a whole lot, we'll have to wait and see. Jezidil coming out from Young to make a couple of holes in the wall to give him a different angle to look through and be aware of. The rest of his team hold firm and cautiously on the upper floor. Elevator got to try and find their way in.
I like this mirror presence upstairs. This is going to give them a lot of dominance, a lot of a hard hold. Now, I was talking about earlier how I would prefer to see the piano guys, when they're trying to defend downstairs, play a little bit more dynamically and try to fall off. But I like the idea of the mirror. It instills a lot of fear in the attackers. It implies that they can't really repel in without being met by a kind of a one-way peek from Mira.
So, drones do go in and find her in there, so now they know Mira is inside that freezer. But they have chosen to do not a whole lot about it at the moment, as they dropped in through red stairs and start to focus on different sides of the fight. C4 will go off, up and around, not do anything too serious. Slash, I believe, threw that into Cigar, as he is now trying to spray through the wall next to that mirror window onto this Hibana, who has already got the hatch open. Didn't take a whole lot of damage from that. Slash comes through again. He actually loses that fight easily with a very important headshot onto these players upstairs. The diffuser is still hanging on some windows outside. Canadian down below. There is a smoke inside the train room. The pressure's coming down though, and MVK will relieve it a little bit by taking out Geo. He's still upstairs on this top floor. Easily is now going to be the man to try and hunt him. He's bringing Skies and Zed up here with him. They know roughly where the man is. They are trying to focus on this through. Easily switches to the secondary. Peeks on around the corner. Flashbang comes over. MVK doesn't get flashed at all, and he will take easily out with it. Keeps the move on forward now. Skies inside the piano room is currently hidden behind the wall. The drone will go down as Canadian takes Skies out from up and above. 4v2 is Elevate's last hope to keep this away from overtime. Zed picks up one quick shot. Doesn't see Necrox on that side. Sees him this time around, but will fall down to Necrox all the same, as England will trade MVK back. He is now in a 1v2. Necrox on the other side of this wall, and he knows it. Smoke grenades aren't going to go out as the trophy system is there, but now he knows he's inside. The plant is going to go down,
10 seconds remaining.
and they're pushing in from both sides, and it's an easy cleanup for Continuum to force us to overtime.
So that was 4 rounds in a row for Continuum. That was the definition of we've got your number now, look out. An excellent defense on Train. Again, that is their first time attempting that particular defense, so it's fantastic that they managed to pull it off, given that they weren't sure exactly how Elevate was going to handle the attack. And they did a pretty good job of it. I was a little worried when Slash lost that engagement to the Hibana upstairs, given that that was kind of a crucial, kind of a linchpin sort of roamer. But MVK, in the end, managed to pull it out and just do both of their jobs by himself. He completely dealt with all of those guys who tried to challenge him as a roamer and did a fantastic job of holding upstairs, well, half of upstairs.
So, the core scores are very different there from Continuum to where we last looked at them.
Yeah.
Not a single
It used to be
point in sight.
I think it used to be Canadian had like 6 kills and then everyone else had like 1 or 2 was what was happening.
Yeah. But as it is now, we're back to a 4v4. Elevator onto defense, and like before, they have sent that pulse downstairs to start making loads of holes in windows, and that's what he's doing. But he then didn't play downstairs. He went and played upstairs, and they sent the bandit down there.
Yeah.
So they saw him making holes, they saw him opening up, and then all these drones that were pre-placed by Continuum saw him go back upstairs again. So they thought they were okay, and they ignored the bottom floor. Then a bandit came out and punished them for it. They're not going to make that same mistake again.
No.
Defender has left the designated staging area.
Geo throws a camera outside in a slightly different location, so we'll see if he gets found or not, as the Continuum attack starts to take shape and approach the building. Now, once again, of course, on that top floor, and they are playing this just as mobile as they were before, but with everyone on the upper floor this time, no one down at the lower.
This is the crucial moment for both of these teams. Now we saw 4 rounds in a row for Elevate, and then we saw 4 rounds in a row for CTM. But now we are in the mix-up period. The chance where both of these teams to put their foot down and be like, okay, this is our match. This is our map. We won't take this all the way. And see who manages to take it further. It's a pretty standard attack so far from CTM, and exactly what we expect from Elevate as well. Nothing really unpredictable coming from either of these teams. And they're taking a little bit of time trying to get into that piano, and Pulse is looking for a C4.
Yeah, he saw them out there through C4, but he was a bit late for it.
I think that might be a waste, to be honest, because, yeah, okay, you could try to force out a C4 on the guys who are playing on balcony, but also now you're worthless if they try to plant.
Well, doesn't matter. Gio has picked up one of the kills and given them that man advantage.
There it is.
He can still shoot from the floor below, and he did have Zed nearby. So
well, yes, yeah, but he's not Pulse with a C4 from underneath.
Yeah,
it's sort of deadly.
So he does take away some of that threat. Do you want me to smoke that door? Yes, smoke that door. I'll look through it with the smoke grenades. So the smokes are coming in. Glass is having a look through to see what's waiting for him and his team. Doesn't see a single thing. In he comes.
The way we're seeing Canadian use this Glass right now is what we've seen with Montaigne in the past. Is you've got this unstoppable force.
That hurt England. That hurt him a lot. C4 is going to miss from below this time around. Canadian up and over the bar, coming on in. The smoke grenade comes out and he's walking straight through it. England comes around the corner and wins the fight. That's big. Young has taken down Zed elsewhere, but as England comes around, MVK will kill him but get traded down himself. So he is down for the count. 3v2 standing up players, but a great shot from Young takes easily down and makes it a 2v2 with MVK still on the floor. They haven't found a chance to revive him yet. Young's dancing back this way and has the diffuser in hand. 30 seconds on the clock. He's unsure about where to go, but he's got 30 seconds, so he'll drone. Gio and Skies are up. Young's drone comes on through, sees Gio sitting right here on the blueprint spot. That's given them a chance to revive up MVK now, and they're back to a 3v2. 15 seconds to go though. Pre-fire coming around as MVK gets up and immediately kills Skies. He's now around behind Gio. Will fall down for this one, but in a Crocs does what he needs once Gio's pinned in the corner and give Continuum their 5th round in a row.
Wow, that was an incredibly tense round. Both of these teams showing up, hitting their shots. A little bit of an upset, or kind of a mistake by Canadian when he was pushing into that cooler. He knew where the smoke was. He just couldn't hit the shots, and that's when a lot of players will say, "Okay, that's why I don't like DMRs. That's why I don't like the semi-auto. Is because with a fully automatic rifle, you could spray and you can expect at least one of your shots to hit. Smoke only had 1 HP. It would have only taken 1 bullet. It just barely missed." But, again, I want to come back to the way they were using Glass. And it is pretty much the same way we've seen Montaigne used, but more deadly, because you're instead of being indestructible, you're kind of invisible. But also, instead, the trade-off in your favor is that you have a high-powered rifle with which to shoot people. So it's a lot less of a, okay, we have to get up right next to him and pistol him down, and more of a, we have range and options to work with here. And I think that's probably why we're seeing from both of these teams Glass instead of Montaigne. And I think maybe going into the future, we might see that as just being the baseline meta for all teams. We'll see. I think that Montaigne's going to be favored a lot more on maps like Clubhouse for just getting those plants down, and on other maps like Cafe, for example, where there's more angles to play, I feel, and more crossfires that you can establish on an operator like Montaigne. I think we're going to see more Glass. But moving into this round, it's the same exact thing we've been seeing on all these defenses. They're opening up all the windows, and we've got that Mira now coming in from Continuum, which has been working fantastically for them so far. I'm guessing we're going to see Elevate put some claymores on this balcony and then go up to the roof, try to move their way in through red stairs, open up the red stairs to piano wall, and then open up the piano to... Wow.
Nice shot. Zed takes MVK down through Sliver. Very nice standout yellow operator. Helped pick off the Jaeger, who was trying to aggressively look through these bakery windows.
That's a big pick. MVK being off the board this early. Oh, not even 1 minute progressed so far.
Any player off the board this early, to be fair.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a big impact, especially when you know it's a roamer and you now can feel a bit safer on the floors below. They are still, of course, droning it. They've got to feel better about it now. Canadian peeking on out as he sees the drones come through. He does now have to duck away and go for a run, as he has been shaken out of that spot. But by being there, by causing the delay, it has meant that Elevate have to rethink going down that drop
Bomb
hatch
located by
just
attackers.
yet. They are still unsure about going on in.
You can see clearly from MVK and Canadian both that CTM has made the call, okay guys, be more aggressive. They're trying to go for those aggressive picks as they attempted to. And it didn't work out from the first time, didn't work out for the second time. Who knows, maybe it'll work out for them the third time. And now Elevate has opened up the piano wall, and they're obviously going to be moving forward with their progression as they have every single one of these attack rounds on upstairs to try and open up the piano to bar wall. And then they're going to lay down smokes and try to go for a plant. Now it's up to Canadian with this C4 to try and stop that. And as well, Mira with her Mira windows to try and slow them down at least.
She did the same as she did before. Opened one into freezer and then stands on the other one. C4 still in Canadian's hands. He's tracking the diffuser in and through the train room. Doesn't need to track it anymore. It's straight up killed off by Young, but he'll be traded back by Geo. Necrox though picks off Zed elsewhere. 3v3 once again. However, Geo and Easily are stuck on the roof. Skies is inside right now. He's in a position he can do any damage though, so he has to wait for his team to come and join him. So he's going to drone and gather some more information while he does it. Spots Necrox just before his drone gets killed off. Smokes across the bar, does take a little bit of damage as he throws it. Looking in through the freezer, looking through this mirror windows. Necrox is dancing back and forth. Both of them going to miss each other by millimeters this time around, but Gio's going to push in towards the toilet. Does pick off one before Canadian C4 takes off easily from below. Back to a 2v2. Necrox narrowly misses Gio's bullets, but won't miss his shots himself that time. Skies is now in a 1v2.
Ooh.
Doesn't matter, Necrox gets him. And that is map number 1. 6 rounds on the trot. Continuum
Wow.
take the win.
Just wow, Continuum. Okay, well, at first we were saying wow, Continuum, and now we're saying wow, Continuum, because 6 rounds in a row, that's impressive no matter who you're playing against or in what circumstance, no matter who you are even. That was surely something.
That's quite a way to do it. Make your mark, show you why the World Championship title sits on your balcony.
And you can clearly see here, it looks like Slashug struggling a little bit with his new roster. Not really the show that we wanted for his first map.
I mean, he was still a useful operator.
Oh,
He still won.
absolutely.
He was still there. He still made his mark. We are going to head over onto Oregon, which is a lot more Montaigne favor. We may be seeing him back.
But will we
I don't
see
know, I'm
Montaigne? Neither of us know, really. It seems like both these teams, it could be that they're trying to phase in just a pure glass meta. It's entirely possible. I don't think so. I think that it's going to be situationally picked. So maybe, like you said, on Oregon, maybe this is going to be the map where we start seeing more Montaigne play. And I was really curious. I mean, I was kind of surprised. I got the Glass pick. I got replacing Montaigne with Glass, but I was kind of surprised we didn't see any Montaigne at all. Sometimes when things aren't working, you know, like for Continuum, for example, they were down 4 rounds. Sometimes when that's not working for you, maybe you want to throw a curveball and use something different, like maybe a Montaigne. And here was that round where they laid that trap and the TK. Oh, boy. And some of the highlights from the last match. A really great match overall, but CTM 6 rounds in a row. Both these teams played incredibly smart games. I just want to say that right off the bat. Both of them played, you know, really amazing strats. They both had an idea of what the other team was doing, and it was really kind of surprising to me that CTM was managed to pull out 6 rounds in a row. I mean, it was surprising for everyone, right? But the fact that Elevate was on the precipice of just ending it, getting it with their first map under their belt, and they just couldn't push it forward. Again, I feel like that's the sort of situation where, okay, maybe you're on the downside as Continuum, you bring out a Montaigne, try to mix it up. Or maybe you're on the downside as Elevate, you start losing those rounds, bring out a Montaigne, try to mix it up. Throw something into the bowl that you aren't expecting, and Continuum did that with Mira, but why not Montaigne? I don't know.
And we'll have to wait and see. But you mentioned that Glass meta could still work here, especially the way they were using it. It's
Yeah.
a similar job, has the more firepower. We'll wait and see. Still a lot of smokes that can be brought to the table with other operators. Then we're looking at defending Oregon. We saw in the qualifiers to get back into the Season Pro League very new ideas at how to make that work. When defending the basement, sticking 3 to 4 players in the upper floors using Castle to completely split the site and the map.
Yeah, Oregon is one of those maps where, especially on the basement, as you said, it's very dynamic. You can do so many things with it. It's a little bit more static upstairs. You can play people underneath the site or towards Junk Tower, and that's okay. You can do that, but you're risking something with that, and it's also pretty predictable. You can play roamers in the basement and over towards meeting hall tower area, but you can get cut off pretty easily as a roamer doing that. But on basement, however, when you're playing, you can keep control of upstairs, like the other site itself, and you can also, keep control of meeting and tower whilst not really exposing yourself as a defender all that much. Play like, for example, tower, player in tower, a player in meeting, a rotation hole into kitchen, and then a hole down into that rotation hole for kitchen from the drop from upstairs, so that a player can play in kids room, and then probably a player in armory over that area. So, and then one player downstairs holding construction push. And that's all you need if you really think about it, because you have all of the bases covered. Then you have lobby covered, so they can't come from there. You have meeting hall covered, so they can't come from there. And you have your guy in construction who's solely the only person holding direct access to the site from the attacking squad. So yes, you can hold from above as on the basement, but it comes in and out. Teams sometimes roll it, sometimes don't. I feel like it's kind of a mix-up strat. It's not as reliable as simply just turtling down in the site. And oftentimes when you come to like Pro League, for example, that's people go for reliability. So I've seen it used, and it's used successfully at that. But I think both these teams are gonna just try to anchor most of the time. I could be wrong. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Of course, if we do have to go to it, a third map will be played on Consulate. Another very flexible map, another very vertical, as you mentioned, map, which you're constantly under threat from different angles.
Everywhere.
Which some parts of Oregon also take that shape too. This kid's bedroom area is possibly something which is constantly under threat from underneath.
Absolutely.
But we'll wait and watch. We've also seen Elevate, as you mentioned on Chalet, pick things like Boss, bomb sites that were unpredictable and unexpected.
Well, when they
pick
were on
dining
Xbox,
room and
I don't know.
kitchen on the Xbox store.
Yeah.
In here on Oregon a couple of times around. Now, yeah, it plays differently. The world is different. But if anyone's going to try and bring those things over, bring that strategy over, Elevate could be the ones to do it. And Lord knows Zed likes to play those weird and wonderful things from time to time too.
Zed is definitely the weirdo when it comes to strats. He is the I would call him the innovative player. He's the guy who likes to do things that are just different. He's the heavy roamer, the far out guy. And as a strategist, he comes up with weird stuff, and it often works. Yeah, Caviera. He is the guy who plays Cav in Pro League. She's not viable. She doesn't help you at all in Pro League. You already know. But Zed makes him work.
That's
kind of makes him work.
He has a theory for making her work. He plays her to mixed success.
Yeah, I mean, okay. He's the guy who does what he wants to do in the Pro League. He just whether it works or not, he'll go for that. He'll go for that option. He'll go for the weird thing that people don't expect. That's kind of just always been him. But
so, talking ops, talking Caviera, talking things we expect to see, didn't expect to see, and were surprised by. A lot of people thought we were going to see Jackal everywhere.
But we're not going to see Jackal everywhere.
Tell them why.
Okay, so let's go over Jackal. What does he bring to the table? Okay, he makes it so you can hunt roamers efficiently, right? Not really. Drones are more efficient, way more efficient. And when you got a team that's gonna coordinate with you to hunt those roamers down, like you've got a player, an Ash player, and you've got a Thermite, and he's gonna drone for that Ash player, kill the roamer. That is way more efficient than a Jackal, and it's less dangerous than a Jackal. And moreover, other than hunting the roamer, which is a small part of a round, arguably a big part, especially in like what we saw in that cafe map, that the roamer was a pretty big factor. Other than that, he doesn't bring anything to the table. He brings a really powerful gun, and that's just it's not a lot. And I think a lot of what people were expecting to see, the reason people were expecting to see him brought to the Pro League was because it gives you that information, right? And it's just information you already have in Pro League. Your teammates are providing that for you with drones and calls, and this information gets circulated. They already know there's a roamer. They may not know exactly where, but they already know. And Jackal doesn't really provide you that anything more. He doesn't. He kind of seems like he does, but he really doesn't. And then moreover, it's the same thing with Cav. Cav gives you actual wall hacks on everyone on the other team for a number of seconds, right? But why isn't she used? It's because that information is already apparent to Pro League players. They already know. They have the information being gathered by all their different teammates who are making calls and sharing this with each other. And to get an interrogation, you have to force yourself on top of it. And no, okay. In Pro League, as soon as someone goes down, they're going, okay, I'm down, and Cav got me down. And everybody's like, okay, we got to either kill Cav or kill that guy on the floor. There's no interrogation. It's not going to happen. We've seen it happen. We've seen Pro League interrogations, but they're far and few between.
And they were on to some of the weakest teams in the league for a reason.
Arguably some of the absolutely worst teams. And Jackal's kind of the same. He's kind of the same, and just less efficient and on attack. And other than that, just a good gun. It's just not. It used to be in Season 1 that having just a good gun was good enough to get you picked in Pro League. FAMAS Twitch. Way back, she just wasn't that useful. She only had the one drone, and it was really loud, and it was slower, and it didn't shoot as far. And it just overall wasn't as good of a pick. But people still picked her because she had the FAMAS. And now we've got to the point where every single pick is strategic. Every single operator brings something to the team, and Jackal doesn't. He doesn't bring anything to the team. No.
At all.
Mira does.
Mira does,
She's
and we're going
very
to see
useful.
Mira a lot,
Yeah.
especially here on Oregon, I believe. The basement, Elevate used it in the qualifiers, used Mira in the basement a fair bit, too. So we expect we'll see her.
And we saw
coming out here.
Continuum can turn the map around because they were bringing that Mira. They were getting that information that they desperately needed.
Yeah, so we'll see how and where and what they do that. We are just waiting for one player to return to the lobby. So while we do that, I think we're going to run to a short break to find out what it is and give him a chance to get on in. When we do come back, it will be map number 2 between Continuum and Elevate. It will be Oregon to decide, are they done here? Is this the end of the first Group A game? Or are we going on to our third map, Continuum? Find out after this short break. Or not, maybe not. We'll
I guess
give
not.
him a moment or two. I heard something in my ears. Guess it wasn't what I thought it was. But that will happen in a moment as and when we are good and ready. But we are looking through, we're looking at Oregon, we're looking at Continuum, and yeah, they took a little bit of time to get to where they needed to be, and then they did their anti-stratting and they gave it through. But Elevator are nothing to be sniffed at. Their first game, which everyone expected to just go horribly against them, they come out, they pick up 4 rounds very, very quickly.
I think it was an understanding. I think it was Elevate knew that they needed to get on the board early because Continuum is that Counter-Strike team. As you said, they just know. Eventually they know. They get your number and they write it down on a piece of paper and they spread it through the team, and now everybody knows, and oh God, you're losing rounds now. They knew that was going to happen. And they were like, okay, aggressively, let's get these rounds on the board. We're just jumping into the match. It's just happening, guys. Here we go. Let's go.
Never mind. That explains it. They're in, they're good, we're off, and we are in to map number 2. It is Oregon, it is Continuum versus Elevate again. Continuum are starting us out here on attack, and as their operators start to shape up, it's looking very familiar.
Oh, look at that, a Glaz and no Montaigne. And on the other team, it's pretty much the predictable lineup I was kind of expecting. Oh, no. They're going to be defending upstairs. Now, this is what we've been seeing. Oh, okay, a lot of teams, I know what they're thinking. A lot of players, I know what you're thinking. We like to defend basement because it's the safer site. It's got more protection. There's less exposed. No. This is the safer site. It's the less dynamic site. It gives you the attackers less options. And I know it doesn't really seem that way, but it honestly is. And at the very beginning, when Oregon was being analyzed, everybody was like, okay, the basement is the basement. It's the bank basement. You know, it's the clubhouse basement. It's what you would expect, but it's really not. It's so much more open than that. And so a lot of teams are favoring on their first defense to go upstairs because of that, because it's a lot more predictable. It's a lot more of a set path. So the points of contention are much fewer. And we'll see if it works for Elevate here. It looks like they're going to try and have an extension when it comes to their upstairs here. They're taking control of attic on their side, reinforcing it on the tower side. So that way, if somebody roaming in meeting hall gets exposed or caught out, and they cut him off from lobby, he can still climb up the attic ladder and retreat back into sight. MVK getting extremely aggressive, by the way, straight into construction. Doesn't expect anyone to be there. It's a good thing he's not playing against Falco because there isn't anyone there, and he's just taking control of tower. I guess he wants to get rid of this. And maybe he figured they wouldn't reinforce attic as quickly as they did.
Or at least he was hoping such a thing, yeah. He then does have a drone inside the meeting room, and that will tell him that Skies is in there, but it goes horribly wrong. When Skies kills him out, Skies tries to fall back to the safety to not get traded, and he falls straight into the arms of Slash. So Slash will manage to get back to the tower and revive NVK, and all the hard work Skies did to get that down will go away.
And see, this is what I'm talking about, what I talked about earlier, where yeah, you can roam in meeting, you can roam in tower, but a good team is going to cut you off. And MVK, CTM, they stepped up and did it in a way I've never even seen before. They opened up, they went in straight into tower immediately, and they opened up the wall into meeting hall, so that the one retreat that makes roaming and meeting valuable, which is the ladder leading into attic back into site, is completely cut off. And thus, roaming is not possible in meeting hall.
What was the point of those Hibana charges?
Okay, oh, they were trying to cut off the defenders who might have been playing underneath the site to deny them from grenading up into the site, or moreover, deny them once they come inside with the C4 from underneath. So those Hibana charges open up visibility completely for somebody playing underneath.
But they droned it all and they killed the roamer.
Yeah, they did do that. I guess they're just being thorough. It's probably just part of their regime, part of their take, that they just figured, hey, we don't need to cut this out, because where else are the Hibana charges going to go? They're not attacking from Armory. They're not going to try and open up Closet, clearly. So, may as well, right? And another pick from Canadian onto Zed, their other roamer.
Inside that attic, picked up from above by Canadian. They've also downed England. They're not quite aware of this yet, but MVK is looking for him. Comes around the corner and fires it. Easily will take MVK down, but then Geo has been spotted inside this double room. Easily picks up 2 kills. He's looking for a third one here as he takes Young very low, but Young will peek back and make sure he finishes him off second time round and get the first round on the board for Continuum.
Great round from Continuum, really emphasizing pressure on those roamers, not allowing any of them to exert any of their own onto the flanks of the attacking team. Now, this is a really interesting take for me, too, because it's reliant on Elevate peaking the way that they did and roaming the way that they did, because if they hadn't, all Elevate would have had to do was simply be a little bit more passive, play a little bit more on the site, and they would have had a good chance of winning that round. You would notice that the attacking team from CTM didn't have very many grenades, and thus, if Elevate had just anchored a little bit harder, they might have been able to just simply hold the site. But no. I guess maybe CTM just has Elevate's number. Maybe they've scrimmed on this map a lot and they know exactly what Elevate is going to do, and they can predict it, and they can go for those roamers and just base their entire strat off of Elevate being aggressive, too aggressive. And that was, yep, oh, example of CTM having their number and putting another round on the board for them. Now, again, from Elevate, we are seeing no Montaigne. So this is obviously going to be the common theme with both these teams looking like going into the future. Maybe on every map, for all we know. Maybe Montaigne's outdated. Who knows?
I just find it very weird. Continuum with Slash aren't using it.
10 seconds to insertion.
I mean, okay. So, yes, he's a good shield player, but again, he's just really an all-around player. You know?
True.
And I think, I think he's gonna have good luck probably with pretty much anything he picks up. CTM defending upstairs again, or not again, rather for the first time, but as a overall, we're defending upstairs first time. Here we go. They have different rotation holes back into the site. They do have roamers. Theirs are going to be in Armory right now, looks like, and he's going to be peeking at Armory and underneath the site. And he's going to be peeking down into the lobby looking for that push, but it's not going to happen, looks like. And now, Elevate, this is a much older attack. This is from Season 1, Season 2, Season 3. They've been using this forever. It's push into the big bedroom and open up the closet and just go straight into the site, plant right there. It's pretty easily countered, and honestly, I expect CTM to be able to know how to handle this, but it does, in the end, this particular strat very much comes down to just winning your engagements.
See whether or not they can do it, as the wall does get blown open right there by Thermite. And that prompts a slight reposition here from some of the Elevate squads, looking around to see and watch for the Continuum peek outs, which aren't going to come. Continuum staying very, very passive and static, disciplined inside their spots. NVK, the most mobile of them all, as he darts away and hides from a couple of drones that did not spot him, and still tries to play mobile and fast around this kitchen area. He's got that mirror window there to help rotate in towards kitchen and the sidelines into there. But as his team are opening up with the extra couple of kills, Necrox has taken England down.
That's Thermite. That's huge. He did get the closet open, but still a big pick.
Yeah, and now Smoke can use these charges of his own to lock the closet away and keep it sealed up. He's got eyes on the diffuser where it is current position, and he knows he can keep people outside there. But they've brought more downstairs now. Bandit's come down to join, and as he comes around the corner, he crouches straight under the scope of Geo to provide another kill for Continuum. So now they're up 5v3 with a minute to go. Skies, Zed, and Easily trying to make this work out. Skies comes around, looks into the closet, and doesn't quite finish Necrox off, takes half his health himself, and then will get the kill the second time around. So, finally a little bit of good news for Elevate, but at 45 seconds to go, they're going to lose Zed as well, as Young's Vector outdoes the DMR. Very, very low health Young's holding there, but thankfully he's 3 armor, so he's going to get away with it. Elevate sending Skies now inside as they start to drone forward. Bandit comes up the back staircase. Skies grabs that one too. Looking to move now in towards the corridor, and it won't work because that Rook is sitting inside the A site. And NVK quickly gets a kill of his own from flanking underneath to end the round.
That was a perfect balance of aggression and passive play from CTM, only pushing when they need to and only pushing when they know they can bait the enemy into one of their teammates. I mean, and again, really, honestly, again, as I said at the beginning, that strat really just came down to winning the engagement. CTM won their fights, straight up. There's Elevate, they just missed their shots. Everything went in their favor. They got their closet open, or not everything necessarily, they got picked off a little bit, but most of it went in their favor. They got the closet open, but then they just lost their thermite. They didn't push into it at all because they couldn't, because smoke was ready for them. With an SMG-11 smokes and a shotgun, you can't really push that, to be honest. And now we're seeing a 2-0 lead for Elevate, or sorry, yeah, for Elevate. No, for Continuum, which is the opposite of what we were seeing at the beginning of the last match. Maybe what we're going to see here is 4 rounds on the map or 4 rounds on the board for Continuum, and then Elevate's going to come back with 6 rounds in a row. We'll see what happens.
Possible. Let's find out. Elevate setting up their defenses from downstairs with a castle and a mirror.
And it looks like we're going to see kind of what we were talking about earlier, a little bit more of an aggressive roaming strat for this basement. They're opening up holes, they're reinforcing upstairs, walls upstairs. They're trying to, yeah, no, look, they're going to castle off, or I think, okay, maybe they're going to castle off the front door. We'll see what happens. And they're going to probably try to have a presence upstairs to deter the attackers a little bit. And this is a common take, what we're seeing from CTM right here. This is exactly what we expect to see. They're going to try and clear from top to bottom, all the way from kids' bedroom, moving over to meeting hall, to try and guarantee themselves that there are no roamers. Now, it's, for example, like on a clubhouse basement hold. Oh, and a pick from Geo on Elevate onto Slash.
Yeah, so it's a good start.
And this is
they're just taking out. They're pushing in through dining hall and through kitchen, trying to get around in from this flank side on the west.
And this is that aggressive roaming that we were talking about. It's working out for them.
So, Geo, they know he's in here, looking for him. And as the cameras are taken out, he loses the eyes that were covering his backside a little bit faster. 2 minutes on the clock though, and Elevate are hard and firm upstairs now. Still have that man advantage too, so they're going to be comfortable for a little bit longer here, as the attacking Continuum squad need to figure out a way in, need to figure out a way to deal with these guys.
Continuum looks like they're just trying to establish the angles on the roamers that they know to be there. They're just trying to protect all their flanks. And MVK, as I say that, simply runs into meeting hall, tries to get the early peek on someone who is playing too passively for him to see. Castle, they probably heard that. He's opening up a hole from attic into the kids' bedroom side of the building on the southwest, and he's going to try and flank from behind now. I'm curious to see if Continuum's going to be able to cut that off. Or he actually, no, he just straight up fell back.
So as we see, impact and the flashbangs coming out to try and clear the trophy systems, and then the breach charges from MVK taking out that shield in the corridor. It leaves them with a minute left to go on the clock. Still in a 4 versus 5 here, but the attack seems to be thinking and taking shape here for NVK and Continuum. The smokes went out, Glaz is downstairs shooting straight through them, but Zed is still creeping through the meeting hall. Zed looking this way as the plant does get stopped by that smoke grenades, and a beautiful shot from England to get the kill straight afterwards. Zed has been picked off by Necrox upstairs, who was ready for that flank, but as the rest of his team is all dead downstairs, That's going to be tough. NVK picking up one. 3v2 here as Necrox and NVK now are a pair. Inside the cupboard, England is there. The smoke grenades are coming straight out. Picked up the diffuser, but can't land the shots for the next peak. England throws his weight. Next man coming down. England's doing the same thing. He does dart the wrong way at the wrong time, and Necrox takes down Skies. But with 7 seconds to go, he's still got to kill 2 now. He's cautious of where one is on the other side of that mirror. Doesn't get ready for the next one, but England is done to do the job anyway. And Elevate grab the round.
There is an example of the mirrors that we were talking about earlier on this particular spot. I think I referenced this particular spot. There's an example of that being ridiculously useful. I think he got 3-4 kills from that spot in particular. That was ridiculous. And it really cemented that hold for them. They did get the picks early with their roamers, but honestly, it all came down to the mirrors. So not the same exact round count as the last map. We are seeing 2-1, so it looks like they're both of these teams are going to be putting up a fight. Elevate not wanting to get eliminated this quickly, and Continuum still trying to push to lock it out in a 2-0. And there's the Mira going into the basement. That's exactly what we expect to see.
It is, as the attack from Elevate is bringing a similar set of operators too.
Glass, yay.
Yeah, they are setting up their setup. Continuum, they make a vault hole in through Laundry, whereas Elevate would make it at ground level so they can just straight crouch through it. That's an interesting thing to note.
It's that's a debate that a lot of people have had for a long time, to be honest, is which is better, a crouch hole or a vault hole? Well, a vault hole forces you into an animation, and sometimes it can be a quick one, sometimes it can be a slow one, depending on how quickly you're moving as an operator. Whereas a crouch hole forces you to crouch, but it only does so for a little bit of time. And I feel personally like a crouch hole is a little bit better because you just crouch for a second, stand back up. But, you know, to each their own, I suppose. They both work.
Attackers are moving out to locate a bomb.
Okay, still setting up for the construction push, and he would be right, as all 5 members of Elevate are spawning over this side.
He's going to be
push through.
He's going to be setting himself up what looks like maybe behind the generator in the construction tunnel itself. Or no. Necrox is just holding it 90 degrees with the shotgun.
Yep, and Young is holding further away as the push is coming down the back staircase.
They have to know
NVK
Elevate
falling back.
so well to have stacked 3 people for a construction take, and it is clear that Elevate is setting up for a construction take.
Yeah, they are ready to push in through that angle, but they do want to find NVK first. They're not sure where he went, and well, he licked it a long way out. Zed takes a lot of damage there as NVK peeks out that front doorway, so they will now know that he's no longer in the back tower, but Zed merely paid the price for it. Does not have a whole lot of health left.
And they're trying to get the construction take in, they're trying to get that push in, but they're spending a lot of time doing exactly that, and CTM is very patient. They're ready for it. They know it's going to happen. I have to wonder if Elevate's going to try and switch it up and do something different here, because it is clear that CTM has stacked that, and then they just saw it with the drone. They've got 2 people just in construction tunnel alone. Maybe don't go construction.
So, see whether they're smart enough to make that decision or not. Minute 30 to go, half of the round still to play. Not a whole lot has been done yet. Zed took a bullet or 2. Now regrets it, has been holding this angle the entire time. The rest of his team still droning in and checking the rest of the map. He's the man to call the flank as Canadian takes Geo out of the picture. Trapdoors are going down. NVK around the corner. Oh, that's an important miss from Zed. That's really bad. He was holding that angle for a long, long time, and that was a free kill.
How, man?
As they do lose another teammate to Canadian in the back staircase. Easily this time falls on down. NVK has done his job at the front, knows he doesn't have to worry anymore as England is moving out and back. Zed pushes down for him, and NVK picks him up while it's free and easy, and he's stuck in barbed wire. 2 versus 5 then for Skies in England. In the old days, we used to see them pull off similar kind of feats, but this time it might be a little bit tougher.
Yeah, they happen to be playing against the Continuum lineup right this second, and it's, you know, every advantage in their favor. 30 seconds on the clock, 5 versus 2. There's not a whole lot of chance here, but they're going to give it an all. They are not giving up yet.
They're going to do what they can. They do lose the diffuser down once more to Canadian. Ash comes charging in, and that's all that they can do there with Skies. So it is a 3 rounds to 1 lead. A beautiful basement defense from Continuum.
I don't... Elevate, what are you thinking? Because you droned them, you saw that they were clearly stacked to hold a construction take, and yet you still pushed, well, you didn't push directly into construction, you pushed tower. Pushed 3 people down tower, and they all died to bandit. What? And then at the end there, you just walked into crossfire. They need to have a more structured take on that particular bomb site. I understand that the mirrors can be a little bit daunting when it comes to a lobby take, but if you're going to commit to a construction take, either do it or go somewhere else, or like make a decision. But they kind of just half did it, half didn't. You know, they went down tower, but they didn't take construction. I don't know what they were thinking. Anyway, now we're 3-1 in the favor of Continuum, and Elevate's going to be defending upstairs again. Now this is, well, I think they lost this one, right? Yeah, they lost this one. They won their basement defense, so hopefully maybe they can make this work out for them this time. What happened last time was CTM, what they did, they took control of, first of all, they absolutely dominated the roamers. They just got them out of the picture right out the gate. They didn't even bother droning for each other. They just, no roamers, goodbye, because they knew they were going to be there. And then after they took care of the roamers from Meeting Hall Tower side, they progressed straight into kitchen. They, even though there wasn't anyone in kitchen, they completely denied kitchen. They were like, nope, nope, you can't be under the site. Sorry, no access granted. And then just pushed straight in through the window and killed everybody. I mean, okay, so what I want to see, hopefully, from Elevate here, play a little bit more conservative, play a little bit more on the site, and trying to focus on just playing out the time and staying alive.
So they do begin to make their push on in. Canadian, once again on this glass, is making a couple of holes in the wall to give him an angle through, a long angle too, through and out of the showers to the rest of the site. He is going to start droning through the toilets and keep an eye on what's there and see if there's a surprise waiting for him. But there was not this time around, as he starts to reposition now that he's comfortable. The west wing is a little bit cleaner.
And this is the same exact strat that we've seen from them same exact strat we see from CTM a time before. They're pushing their Mira into dining table room, and they're opening up the kitchen wall to give themselves complete visibility on under the site, to deny that C4 from underneath, and moreover to allow them to shoot up from underneath. MVK with a pick onto Zed, getting him right off the board, Zed being one of their main roamers. That's pretty important, especially considering now they have really no presence outside of the site. And I wanted to say again, like, this is why I wanted you to anchor. You're not going to win roaming, but they've still got, okay, they've still got Geo in Armory. It's kind of pseudo roaming, but that's, I don't know, it doesn't really count. Having a player in Armory, I think, is important, but I don't know.
He's trying to think it up, do what he can.
Elevate is playing a lot more passive here, which is important. They wasted a whole lot of time on the board. England barely making it back out of that engagement with Young.
Now, as the push comes through, the time is ticking down with a minute to go.
Hi, Slash.
Was just about to stick his head around there as the eyes came off of the angle. Canadian now to peek in the backside. He picks off one, then gets taken out straight away by England. Geo is down. Sorry, Geo is still up as Young picks off a kill onto Easily. It is now 2v4 as they are pushing inside the site. Continuum are here to play here as England will fall from his angle inside. Geo right down the corridor. Does get the man with the diffuser. They'll delay this plant a little bit, but now they know exactly where he is and they have 3 eyes to look at him. Slash goes in, picks up the diffuser, gets straight into the B site. Necrox can go underneath now if needs be, and very close by is NVK, and he's going to be the man to grab the kill.
So, Elevate. They did exactly what I asked them to do, and it just didn't work for them. Honestly, looking at this situation, I mean, they had, okay, Zed was roaming, right? He got picked off early, so that's a man off the board. But other than that, most of their players were pretty much anchoring to the extent that you can on that particular site. They just simply got picked off from the players. I don't know what else to say. Maybe what they could do is try to exert a little bit of pressure on the lower levels. At least distract Continuum from simply pushing in and winning, denying or holding these angles and winning the engagement on the defenders who are sitting in corners waiting for the attackers to come to them. They have to exert aggression as the defensive team, especially on an upstairs defense, but they also have to be passive and hold the side. It's about finding a balance. And unfortunately, Elevate can't find that balance. And now we're on match point and overall matchup point for Elevate versus Continuum.
So, Continuum have been the dominating Continuum that we expected to see all of the last map here at Oregon, but
I'm helping.
There is still a chance here for Elevate to switch things around again. Geo was unsure if he wanted to be the Twitch or the Buck. He's gone with the Buck at the last second, and with the bomb site here, those grenades and those shotgun blasts from underneath can be very, very strong. But look at the setup, the Continuum we're putting below this site.
You know, one thing I think, when I'm playing a Twitch or having a Twitch play against me in the prep phase and they shoot a Jaeger device, but they sacrifice their drone for a Jaeger device, I think to myself, well, that's not really worth it. But when you get a Twitch drone to open up a mirror device, that throws the entire setup out of whack for the defenders, and that is by far and away worth it. However, I think in this circumstance, on this particular bomb site, Buck is the right call. And I think that Buck's gonna help their team out a lot, hopefully, assuming they can get past that mirror.
That's what they have to find out. And he is currently droning that floor and looking to see what's waiting for him inside the corridor and inside the kitchen. Right now he knows the showers are clear and Skies will momentarily move on in there when he gets the heads up from Geo. Changed his mind actually as he heads around towards a different window. He's got Zed out the backside of dining now, opening that up. He's going to drone in around this way. The pulse is close by and is spraying out towards easily. It was close, but it's not enough as England does take down the Crocs upstairs. So the smoke grenades were going out, but as he threw it, he lost his life. NVK though trades Zed straight back outside that dining room door and is now looking aggressively to find the others here. He sees Geo, but will not get the shot off in time, and Geo gets that kill successfully. He has lost a little bit of health, but continue now to pressure for his team, and as MVK was the last remaining player inside the kitchen, the holes in the floor can start to be made by Geo, but the Canadian is still downstairs. He is not on the bomb site, but he is also not around the kitchen. He's playing down in the basement as he's got track on easily outside this front door.
Tick tock, tick tock. Elevate has to make a move here.
The staircase, he's going to come up around underneath now. Geo picks up one, easily will fall, and that's the one the Canadian was stalking. One player has downed, but the plant has gone through, and England picks up an easy double as Canadian steps straight into his fire at his already down teammate.
So we didn't see it, it was off camera, but they did open up the closet and push their way in and just simply get a plant right on the site because there were too many roamers on Continuum's side. And that is the same problem that we saw from Elevate the first time they tried to defend upstairs. So now, okay, are we going to see a comeback from Elevate with that fantastic attack execution under their belts? Or is CTM going to be able to successfully take this downstairs? Now, I'm curious to see, because we're going to see a double mirror setup, same as we saw last time. I'm curious to see how CTM handles that. Are they going to try and go for construction? Are they going to counter it by facing it on frontal, you know, just going straight into it like they did last time? We'll see what happens. Smokes, I think, are probably the most viable counter to a direct frontal assault to a mirror window, but just disable the window, throw a smoke onto it. But who knows?
So we'll see if they can pull it off. Elevate once again, sitting down in that basement, once again bringing the castles to the table. They weren't using it in that crazy kind of splitting the upstairs site, playing the whole meeting room way that a lot of teams do before. They use it in a pretty tame fashion. We'll see if they change it or do that again. But a lot of that, as you mentioned, was all just straight on the mirror window down the front last time around. So unless Continuum can think something up to deal with that, they're not going to have a good day. What they're not bringing, though, is a Glaz to the table. Continuum, that is being an Elevate thing.
Or a Montaigne.
Or a Montaigne.
It's way back to the old meta here, and you kind of wonder if they're doing it intentionally less for, okay, wow, already a couple shots off the board for Slash. He's down to what looks like about 70 HP, maybe 65. So that's unfortunate, but hey, you know, that is just how the cookie crumbles. Anyway, on the note of Glass Montaigne, you have to wonder if maybe it's possible that Continuum is intentionally not playing either of them because they don't want to see them.
There's a possibility. They are moving on through. There's also, of course, the fact that they're up 4-2.
Yes.
Don't need to show strats that perhaps they don't want to yet. So
Absolutely.
keep it for another day.
They are that team that they come up with strats, but mostly counter strats. So they're good for, you know, dealing with a situation that they're familiar with. So maybe they picked this particular lineup because in some way or another, this particular lineup helps them deal with the Miras. Maybe that way they can use two thermites on the drop downs and save their Habanas for dealing with the mirrors. maybe that's the
Attackers
case.
have located a bomb.
It's very true. So,
Whoa.
50 on the clock, and this is a very quick push from MBK as he's realizing this corridor is clean and open.
They're obviously centered around holding the lobby, which is counter to what CTM's been centered around.
The castle barricades were there to actually keep him inside that corridor. So yes, he can rush down very quickly there, but he can't get much further in. He comes on through and it's a blind fire through the wall onto the back of Zed. We'll miss the next shots onto that Jaeger, but he's still alive, and that's important here. Gets back towards his team where the wall has been opened. Has another look down the corridor, and it's got a pixel towards that angle. Sky's not going to peek straight into it anytime soon, though.
It's pretty obvious that their counter to the mirrors is to simply avoid them and take through construction. It's working so far for them.
It is. Young now picks up easily, and Slash picks up Skies. That's the basement completely exposed. MVK pushed on through to England, and that's kind of all she wrote. Gio coming down from the front now, and he is gone for the map and the series to head over to Continuum. GGs do come out, and that's 2 maps to 0, as 5 rounds to 1. Oregon ends in, I must admit, a kind of disappointing fashion for Elevate. They were looking great, but that last round was, I don't know what their plan was.
Okay, CTM was obviously centered around exactly what they knew Elevate was going to do, which was attack construction, and that's what they did on that basement hold. And then Elevate seemed as if they were kind of just playing to counter an idea.
Oh, I said James Bond. Zed went Bond.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Elevate seemed like they were setting up their defensive strat to kind of counter an idea of a take, which is lobby drop, smokes, picks, plant on the dryer, which is what we see so many teams do, which is so predictable. And it was a really good counter for that when that's what CTM did. But when they're attacking construction, they weren't even, there was like nobody defending that. They had the castle barricades, yes, but nobody actually defending that side of the bomb site. And when they rotated back, it was just way too late. They just rotated into the crosshairs of the attackers and got the easy picks.
Yeah, so there it was. You see these last couple of moments, that very exposed back corridor that allowed MVK to just sprint on in like that and take Zed out through the wall. It's a painful sight to see, but really well played by Continuum, meaning they will advance to that round 2 winners bracket position. So with this sort of semi half and half, double elim, 1.5 elim sort of thing that we have going here, that means Elevate do now have a second chance. They will play the loser of Ominous Onslaught. That game will be played next week. Continuum will, of course, play the winner of whoever that is. We will go to a break here now and move forward to our second game of the night, which is a Group B game. It is Lethal Gaming versus Era Eternity. So of our 2 big North American teams, Continuum and Era, we're about to see the second one. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back after this short break with our second game of the night and our first game of Group B.
Hello and welcome back, everybody. It is Playday number 1 for the North American Pro League here. I am your host, Sean Bloodbath Rosenbaum, and as you've already seen throughout the day today, we're here with Kickstar. How you doing,
guys?
Kids?
It's good to be back
Yep.
for another match for
I know,
North
right?
America.
I mean, we had one intense matchup there, right? We saw with
Oh, yeah.
Continuum and Elevate.
It was totally unexpected at the start, and then
Mhm.
it went to intense matchup, and then we got in the last map kind of a little bit of a landslide for CTM, but Elevate certainly put up a fight, especially.
Were you
in the-
expecting Elevate to come out very strong in a 4-0 and then ultimately
No,
lose
I don't think
06?
anyone was expecting that. I mean, it was kind of came out of nowhere, to be honest with you.
Mhm.
But I did expect what I saw on the second map. I think what we saw on Oregon was what we all thought we were going to see from CTM in general.
Mhm.
Elevate had some great ideas, some great strats, but in the end, Continuum just knew how to read them and work around them.
Yeah, I felt like Continuum came. They were a little sluggish, a little slow at the start
Oh, yeah.
of Cafe. And to me,
Yeah.
thinking back to previous seasons of the Pro League, it always seemed like Cafe was kind of a map that North American PC stayed away from.
No, I concur completely. It's not really something that North American teams are really a super fan of.
Mhm.
I know European teams are, but anyway, let's go ahead and move on to the show schedule.
Yep.
Take a look at what we've done and what we have or yet to do. So earlier we had a matchup, Continuum versus Elevate, which ended in a 2-0 in favor of Continuum. As you said earlier, it was really close to the beginning. Elevate was in danger of taking it early on, but Continuum showed up. Now we are going to be looking at Era versus Lethal Gaming, which is our second match in the second group B. Now this is really interesting matchup, but let's talk about that later. Let's go ahead and I think what we have.
Yeah, so we do have an interview
have
here
an interview.
with one of our players, King George, who has recently moved from Continuum. He's now on Era.
Yeah.
And we're going to be talking to him very shortly about that. So he is going to be our interviewee of the evening for this matchup.
What's going on, guys?
Hey, King George, how are you doing today?
Good. How about you guys?
We're splendid. We're splendid here. So, as we just mentioned right before this, you were recently on Continuum. You were there at the 6th Invitational. What changed? And we find you on Era now. Let's dig into that swap a little bit.
Yeah. So essentially, when it came as quite a surprise to me when I got benched on Continuum.
Mhm.
The reason they gave me was that I had like a slower, more passive style of gameplay, and it wasn't like performance related necessarily because I did well at the event. and they said that personality-wise, when they decided to get Retro over me, that it was somebody that they vibed a little bit better with, but
Okay.
they ended up getting Slash instead now, probably for like Slash is a little bit more aggressive than I am for sure. We play like a similar role, so I'm assuming that's what it's for. So I ended up joining Era, obviously not wanting to sit on the bench, and I'm actually the captain now. So I got a promotion, I guess,
awesome.
like the other day.
Sounds like it worked out for you.
Yep.
So, digging into that, you say you're now the captain of Era. We
Right.
also were informed that Adam has also gotten onto the team, onto Era.
Right.
So, do you want to delve into that a little bit? Talk about the team change up in that aspect?
Yeah, so when Slash left, so originally when I joined, CTM still had Retro, so I joined and replaced K9. I asked them who they wanted to replace. I didn't have any like input on that really, and they told me they wanted to replace K9. So I said, okay, that's fine. Whatever you guys think. You've been together as a team. I'm coming in as an outsider essentially.
Okay.
So then we ended up thinking once Slash left, so Slash kind of left us like pretty last minute. Like we've been a team for I think 2 days now. So
Okay,
haven't
so
been
it
together
wasn't
for
a
too long.
1-for-1 swap.
No. So yeah, they it was okay. So initially, like I just joined CTM. I joined CTM, played for CTM / played for Era. After the Invitational, actually it was just really like a week ago. I got benched and I joined Era with Slash. Slash was still there.
Okay.
Retro was playing on CTM. They ended up benching Retro and taking Slash to replace me. So then we were short of players still. So we ended up getting Adam to fill a role for like an aggressive like entry role pretty much. So because
Gotcha.
I guess I could possibly do it, but I haven't done it in a long time. So the last time I played like an aggressive entry role was season 2 and 3. So it's been like a whole season that I've kind of been more on like the backside, and I don't
Gotcha. Okay.
I don't really mind either way.
So we now know the makeup, and we've got a little bit of a changeup, if you'll say. We've a little bit of a changeup in the lineup for Era. Coming into this season 1 of year 2, what's been your mindset? Has it changed differently as a team, or what is your philosophy, if you will?
So the biggest thing since I've gotten here is I've taken over like most of like the in-game leading and stuff like that, like playing I guess on like the back end, I guess supposedly more as like a support player. So I did that when I was on Flipside as well for seasons 2 and 3, and then even when we got him in season 1. And then when I was on Continuum, it was kind of a mix of like me and Troy, probably more like Troy, especially like mid game and stuff like that. But
Gotcha.
so yeah, so pretty much taking over that role, I guess.
Awesome. Well, we're looking for a great matchup today. We know that Lethal Gaming has had quite a showing. They were at the 6 Invitational as well on the Xbox side, and some of their players have moved over here. So with that, do you have any last remarks before we send you on your way to prepare for today's matchup?
No, just good. Trying to put on a good show. Good luck to Lethal. I hope it'll be a good game for all the viewers.
Awesome. Thank you, King George. Have a good fight.
All right, guys, take it easy.
And they're hoping for a wonderful and a good game.
Yeah, no, it's going to be an exciting matchup. Lethal Gaming versus Era. Now, I don't know where either of the teams. So historically, Lethal Gaming has been the sort of team where they haven't been on top. They've been kind of an underdog team. And now Era, with this huge mix-up with the roster, picking up Adam for replacing K9, losing Slashug in exchange for King George. Well, not actually. It was the opposite. The exchanges were opposite. But all the same, with the roster change, I don't even recognize them as a team anymore. So it's like, I don't know what to expect from them. Are we going to see the same Era that we saw compete at such a high level at Invitational, going toe-to-toe with Continuum?
I think... So one of the things that I think about the team now, bringing in King George, bringing in Adam, I feel like they're going to be less aggressive, but not in a negative sense. Because sometimes over-aggressiveness can be the downfall of a team. And I feel like reeling the team back in a little bit might help them get that win.
I concur, and I also think that having played with a lot of those guys on that team before, I can say surefire, if King George has taken up the IGL role, like if that's actually happening, then that is exactly what that team needed. Like they never really had a dedicated Era Orbit, whenever that team is a thing, it just never really had a dedicated IGL that everybody listens to, where the calls are made and the executions followed through on. And I think that's gonna, if they have that, that's gonna bring a new life to that team. So hopefully, all this roster switching around has been really good for Era, but we can only wait and find out. Obviously, they're going to be going up against LG, which is kind of a dark horse of a team. They've been in the Pro League before.
Yeah, so the organization was an Xbox organization. They came on over, picked up a PC team.
But the players...
The players... Some of the players were in previous Pro League seasons. I believe Season 2, if I remember correctly.
I think it was Season 2, yeah.
But some of the other players aren't so commonly known.
Right, yeah. There's a couple new guys coming into the roster whom I'm not familiar with. But the two main players on that team that have been consistently playing with each other throughout history since the beginning of the game are Senses, otherwise known as Fluffy, and Gun Havoc. Now, these two people have been playing together for, well, like I said, since the very beginning.
Yep.
So they know they've been leading teams.
They've got that synergy down that you want your leaders to have.
And we have to find out. We're going to find out, obviously, if these two players are leading their own team, are going to be able to, put the forefront forward. Put their best foot forward and get a good, round count, maybe a first map off the board already, just right on Era, because that's, I think, what they need going into this matchup. They need that explosive, enthusiastic kind of like, we're gonna beat you Era.
Yeah,
we're not afraid.
One of the things that I recall back in playing in Season 2 against you and other teams as well was, especially against Senses and Gun Havoc, that team in particular seemed to play a lot on emotions. When they had momentum, it always went well for them. When they lost that momentum, when they broke it, it tended to not go in their favor. So I feel like they have a lot to prove in the fact of letting their emotions play well for them, but at the same time, when things aren't going their way, don't let it get them down, per se.
Yeah, and it can happen oftentimes with a lot of different teams where you'll not just lose a round, but you'll die in a weird way. Like you die to some guy who's holding a tiny little pixel angle, and it's just like infuriating. It's like, no! And that can throw the team into complete whack. But we do not have team sheets for you today, guys, so we're just going to see, I think, pretty soon here we're going to be going into the ban phase.
Yeah, we are looking to get into the map bans here in a few moments. What did you think? Let's talk about the matchup between Continuum and Elevate real quick, about their bans. And were there any specific things that you weren't expecting in a strategy mindset from those teams that you think might get portrayed into this ban phase?
Not really. The ban phase kind of went off exactly how I really expected it. I think, so CTM banned the maps that they've played a lot, and they banned the maps that they haven't played very much. So the unpredictables and the predictables. And Elevate's bans just kind of slotted into the middle there somewhere. It seemed very much like the ban phase went in for Continuum's favor. But for this matchup, both of these teams are kind of in the same boat, really.
Yeah.
Continuum wants to, they know about the consistent and they want to get rid of it because Elevate is familiar with the consistent, and they also know about the unpredictable and they want to get rid of it because if Elevate's kind of on the back end, they have to they have to chew their way in there. So they found a balance somewhere in between. Cafe, not very popular in NA, as you said earlier, but still a map they're familiar with. Oregon, definitely a very popular map, something that everybody's really familiar with, but at the same time, kind of on the back end, a little bit less played, and very dynamic as a map, which is something Continuum's good with. But here, you got two teams that are a little bit less known. Lethal Gaming, they've been here before, right? But they don't have the experience and the know.
I feel like they don't. They have an opportunity to basically prove that they've got the action to be here, the skill to be here. They have a lot of opportunity to prove that they can be here. There's teams like Era, like Continuum, like Flipside that have proven time in and time out that they do deserve to be in the Pro League.
Yeah.
Now, Lethal Gaming, while their Xbox team was tremendous, coming here into the PC realm and picking up a PC team, I feel like they still have some work to do, some work to prove on.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure that, Lethal Gaming, They've got stuff to work on. They've got their new team. Well, not a relatively new team for the most part. Some of their players are old hat. Some of them have been around. And then you're going up against Era, who Yes. Okay. So they're consistent. So we know them, or we've seen them prove themselves, right? But I mean, new
do
roster.
you feel like either of these teams put a lot of effort into Coastline? So bringing this into the new map, Coastline. Do you feel that we might see a Coastline today? Do you feel like either of these teams would take that leap, take that risk to play it on a new map?
I think in this circumstance, Lethal Gaming would be the one to try to take that leap.
So
but its
of the two
entire-
teams, it could
yeah.
be Lethal?
But I don't know because I don't actually know which maps these teams have been practicing. It's entirely possible that Era has been flat out like balls to the wall. We're going to be the best team on Coastline, but that just doesn't sound like them to me. So if anyone's going to make the leap, I'm thinking it's going to be Lethal, not because they practiced it a bunch and they're trying to get a quick counter out, but moreover because
I could see
it's
Skyscraper
unexpected.
being chosen by Era. Era had
Oh, yeah.
always liked Skyscraper.
Oh, yeah.
NAPC was always
Yeah.
a platform for the Skyscraper meta.
they would absolutely. They're not going to get to play. I don't think they're going to get to play Skyscraper. I think Lethal's probably going to ban that out. But
Yeah.
who knows? Maybe Lethal likes Skyscraper as well. Maybe they're going to try and bring it to that. We'll see.
We'll have to see. But one of the things, so going back to the Coastline talk, you had said you don't think it's possible that Eric put in a lot of time and effort to build up strats on the map, but you don't think they did. It's
Doesn't
possible.
really sound like them.
Well, I'm thinking back to Season 3 Pro League back last fall. The first map played between Era and Milspec, or within that was the first game, play day number 1.
Right.
They went on to Favela. And I remember talking
I
to
played in that
K9.
match.
Yeah, you played in the match, and I remember you guys saying that there was no strat you guys had. It was merely, let's just go out and try to win, try to play.
Yeah, so we got we had a really bad ban phase. we didn't want to play favelas. None of us wanted to play favelas. It wasn't a matter of not having strats on that and just being confident in our favela play. It was, oh crap, they got us to favelas, guys. What do we do? So
Yeah.
we improvised. We did the best that we could do.
And it worked out for you. So
Yeah.
if it comes to it, and actually we might have bands up and running right now. If it comes to it, we might see Coastline, we might see Era playing that same kind of mentality when they approach this
Yeah,
map.
maybe.
We'll see.
Yeah.
But we do have maps up and running. I want to say I think Lethal Gaming is going to be banning first, possibly.
Yeah, it looks like that. They're not getting this information. So, if I'm going to guess, it looks like it's Lethal Gaming going to be banning first. Hopefully, we will have that on screen for you guys soon, but we'll find out.
If not, I mean, so looking at maps, so with the current meta, with the current operator selections for attack, for defense, whoever it may be,
hey, there it is.
Skyscraper being taken
Yeah.
out right away by
Peace
Lethal
out,
Gaming.
Skyscraper. They know Era's familiar with the map. They know they like it, and I can't blame them. That's the right call. Now I'm expecting Era to probably ban Coastline here. Who knows? Maybe not. Maybe not. But maybe they're gonna let it slip. But I think they're gonna try and get rid of that unpredictability from Lethal Gaming. Just try to solidify it down to the maps they're comfortable with. Like for example, Chalet, Consulate, and it looks like we're gonna be coming back to us.
Yeah, I feel like Era will most likely. If I were Era, the maps I would consider banning would be Cafe. I'd consider banning Coastline, and I'd consider banning Bank. I feel like those 3 maps have been maps that have not favored Era in the past.
No, I think that's a good assessment.
I know Chalet has always been one of their favorites. Clubhouse got them into the grand finals of Season 3.
I don't think they would want to play Clubhouse because you're right. It did get them in the grand finals, and they're good at that map. But so
There's
is
also a
Lethal
lot
Gaming.
of visibility on that map.
Well, no. Well, my thing about that is that so is Lethal Gaming.
Yeah.
It's the same reason that I think Continuum banned Clubhouse is because yeah, sure, Continuum's good at Clubhouse, but so was Elevate. You find out what happens. We're gonna hopefully get into this match soon.
Yes, I mean, this is, again, the second matchup of today.
Yeah.
Previously, we had our Continuum and Elevate matchup. This is our second match of the day for NAPC, and we're about to get underway with Era and Lethal Gaming. We are just waiting on one or two more people to funnel into the lobby here, but one of the things, so Chalet's going to be our first map.
Okay.
We've always talked about how the trophy room and the kitchen are the primary bomb site, the snowmobile garage and wine cellar are kind of the secondary bomb site. But last season, in Season 3, skipping beyond, it might have actually been in the 6th Invitational, we saw Continuum try to stretch that meta. They started going upstairs. They tried to stretch upstairs, and I actually think they won on it.
Well, they did it once, and yes, they did win, and I think they won the map because of it, and I think it was actually against me, but I don't remember. It was a while ago.
Do you think there's been more development from the community into different bomb sites on this map?
No.
Okay.
It's possible that someone's devised something between the end of Invitational and the beginning of this particular Pro League, because obviously there's a bunch of new stuff that we haven't seen. We've been seeing, like, for example, Glaz instead of Montaigne, and then lack of both. But who knows? We're gonna find out soon. I don't see it happening, though. I think we're probably going to see what we've always seen, which is Kitchen and Trophy, Snowmobile, and Wine Cellar. I think that's the predictable pick from both these teams. I think it's what we're going to come to.
Yep.
It's entirely possible that maybe Lethal picked Chalet because they are trying to do exactly what you were suggesting, which is throw a curveball, defend bar, defend master from underneath, do something different.
I mean, thinking back to now, I know the majority of the players here on Lethal Gaming, and possibly all of them from Lethal, are not the same teams from Xbox. I don't think they transferred over.
No,
but
I think most of them are PC players.
One of the things that I could see happening from the players, like Elevate, from the teams like Elevate, that who did transfer over from Xbox, is they are able to bring that knowledge over. Because those extravagant bomb sites, such as Bar and Gaming Room, or Top Floor, or Red Tower on Oregon, those were, for some teams, primary bomb sites on those maps on Xbox. And so bringing that knowledge, bringing that strat over, I feel like could definitely aid in their ability to play on a map that would otherwise be unfavorable to them.
And I think it has. No, I think you're right. Sometimes there are things that when the Xbox players are bringing over, they just don't transfer because of the nature of Xbox or PC.
Yep.
But I think you're right. I think that can help them and give them a unique perspective on the game.
Yep. All right. And so we are here, guys, ladies and gentlemen. Map number 1, round number 1 is underway with Era Eternity starting on defense. And we're going to have Lethal Gaming starting on offense here as they pick up their operators at the moment.
I just want to take a second to list off the roster since we didn't have a chance to earlier. For Lethal, we will have Senses, Gun Havoc, Shala, Oz, and Striker. For Era, King George, Adam, Eclipse, Avian, and Snake Nade. A lot of familiar faces on the Era lineup, some of them with other teams. The one new one is Adam. He's kind of the dark horse on that particular team.
He's been a sub, I believe, for Flipside, or at least a fill-in from time to time if needed.
But he hasn't been on the spot quite like he has, or like he is right now with Era. Picking up a huge mantle from, I think he was replacing specifically /UG, because King George replaced K9.
Yep.
Which, by the way, K9 not being here today, I think this is the first time K9 has ever not participated in a Pro League match, ever.
Very possible.
Because he's been playing since the very beginning, and he's never missed a single Pro League day. So this is, I think, his first. And Snake Nade is the only one on the Era lineup who has been with that particular team since the beginning.
Yeah. Agreed. Yep. So Snake is the last survivor, if you will.
And I think he's played more Pro League matches than any other person in the entire Pro League. So he's got to keep that train going. It was
I don't know. So in NA, I could see that being true. I want to say it might not be true. I think Sisu might have them beat.
Maybe. But moving into this match, we're going to see a trophy and kitchen defense for the first round from Era. Now, this is exactly what you were talking about earlier. This is what we expect to see. Everybody pretty much defends this particular site. And what I expect to see on this, especially given the fact that we have a fuse, we're going to see probably just a straight-up take from upstairs. And again, no Montaigne and no Glaz. A lot of teams seemingly just not using either of them. You have to wonder, I have to wonder to myself, at least, is there some kind of general, like, what's going on? Why no fuse? Why no Montaigne? There's got to be some sort of thing, like agreement going on here.
Gun Havoc's going to toss one nade over and pick up Eclipse as the fuse charge from Senses goes down, missing all of his targets. I think King George heard the plan and got out of kitchen in time. But we do have underneath of the kitchen, or of the master bedroom, we do have Pulse. That's Snake using the heartbeat sensor, trying to see if he might be able to get a C4 kill from underneath.
Yeah, Lethal has established their dominance on upstairs. They have gotten rid of the roamers. Now, Era's pretty much forced back into the site. There's only half of a round left, though, for the attacking team here. Thatcher pushing his way into lobby. They're really spread out here, Lethal. They're looking for an avenue, an opportunity to push in, and it looks like Habana might be trying to set that up, but misses just barely.
Half of the row.
Yeah.
It's only going to be 3, but it could be enough to just get them out of that corner, and it looks like that will work.
Yeah.
What they will have to be careful of is a potential drop from the trophy room. We see the drop hatch open. That will allow Adam or
Look
King
at the
George or
Era
Snake
team.
to move on over. But as you said, yeah, look at them. They're all huddled inside a trophy at the moment.
That's an interesting setup, Era, but it might just work considering that's
They're not
Lethal,
pressuring the window.
Yeah, Lethal hasn't put anyone on the B window as of yet. And because of that, I mean, there's 57 seconds left on the clock, and not a lot of pressure being exerted here. But
Ooh, Gun Havoc's going to pick up AV, and up, I believe that was from the drop hatch.
that was from the
The floor above. You're right, you're right.
Yeah. But Era's still in a good position to clutch this up until Gun Havoc breaks this window.
So there it is. Finally going to put some pressure on. Goes on through and shoots some more bullets in. It looks like Adam will miss his shots there as Gun Havoc lays in some more bullets. Takes him down to about half health. Snake Nade is going to pick up 1 kill into Striker, but he will be injured on the kitchen stairs. Oz is going to move on forward, pick up Diffuser, as it looks like control of Kitchen is going to be in the hands of Oz. And Fuse over here, that is Senses. They're moving on forward. Looks like King George and Snake. King George is going to pick up 1. Can he get another? No, it's going to be Ketshala and Senses, each dropping a kill apiece. First round here is going to go to Lethal Gaming.
An excellent round from Lethal. But moreover, for me personally, I think just kind of a terrible round from Era. They allowed themselves to be forced into a corner.
It felt cluttered.
Yeah,
Cluttered.
like they weren't coordinated and didn't know kind of what they were, how they were trying to maneuver. There were other options for the Era lineup. They did not have to all be in trophy.
I mean, we did see Snake drop. He used the drop hatch, got down, and then got injured on the kitchen stairs after he got picked up a kill of himself. I think knowing that the push was going to come from Fireplace, knowing that it was going to come from that portion of the map, I would have liked to have seen Snake go all the way down into Snowmobile Garage, come up further from behind, but he could have started his lurk late and didn't have enough time for it.
Further from, he came from Bobby.
He came from the big garage, went up kitchen stairs. I would have wanted him to see go through Wine, go through big or Snowmobile, come up Fireplace stairs.
He was down on Fireplace stairs. That's how he died.
I thought he downed on kitchen
No,
stairs.
he was down on the Fireplace
Okay.
stairs. But no, yeah, the Roamer game could have been a little bit stronger. I agree. No, he did. He did come all the way around, like you said, but he didn't actually make it work as well as he could have. So yeah, like you said, the Roamer game could have been better. Could have been done a little bit of a better execution. However, I think it really just came down to their anchors getting, well, like you said earlier, cluttered. Like what are you gonna do when all 3 of your players on the site are in what was that, 5 square feet?
Yeah. They're all tucked behind that one display case.
So now we actually are seeing a glass from Era. And so I'm kind of curious as to why Lethal's not bringing him to the table. He's very powerful, or at least some teams seem to think he's very powerful. Is Lethal just not on that same team list? Do they not feel like he's a huge advantage to them as a team? I'm not sure.
I was actually seeing that previously. I was talking about that behind the stage previously when the glass play from Zed stopped going in his favor. In the first map, when it stopped going in his favor, I was thinking you don't have to force an operator into your strat. If your strat isn't for a particular operator, you've won maps, you've won rounds without him before. You can do it again. You don't need to force operators in.
You're absolutely right. When Zed missed that shot on the guy on top of stairs, he could have probably hit that with an automatic weapon, but yeah, no. Let's see if it works for Era. They're bringing it to the table. Lethal gonna opt not to, and pretty much the same exact strat coming from Era that we saw from Lethal, establishing a dominance upstairs with Fuse, but Gun Havoc gonna pick off Eclipse as he gets kind of sandwiched between 2 players, allowing himself to.
That was a very good collapse by Lethal there between Gun Havoc and Ovs. Now Adam knows there's someone up here. He's very cautious of the Fireplace stairs as he turns around and looks towards L corner. Will he spot Oz? I think Oz actually moved his way into the library.
Oz is taking this really nice and slow, doesn't want to risk too much, knows that he has the man advantage, doesn't need to push, just needs to exert the idea of pressure, and he is doing just that, distracting Adam, keeping him pinned down.
Now here he goes, he's going to turn the corner, possibly sees Adam's shoulder, but just barely misses seating it. He's going to hold onto the angle for the time being. Adams already knowing he's there. Window opens up on the balcony outside of Fireplace. Now Adams moves forward with the push. Waiting to see. He's going to actually back on out of here. Oz still undetected all the way up here inside of the library.
Quite a dance going on between these 2.
Agreed. And Snake's going to open up Fireplace now. Pushes on forward with the smoke grenades, but he still has to be weary. You've got Gun Havoc on the back stairs. Oz still in. Looks like Striker, will pick up that kill into Snake through the doorway of Dining into Fireplace. Gun Havoc's going to get one onto Adam. It's now a 2-on-5. Looks like Gun Havoc will be taken down by King George on the platform outside of Fireplace. A 4-on-2 at the moment here with 35 seconds to go.
King George dropping bombs, trying to even it out. 3 versus 2 now, 30 seconds on the clock. They don't have a lot of options here. They have to get through that barbed wire, and there's going to be someone to kill them as they attempt to do so.
Now we do have Census, who's underneath still. I believe he's downstairs in Wine Cellar, possibly going around in the snowmobile.
Oh.
Almost a team kill there as Avian pushes on forward. And he gets the shot there on the striker. A 2-on-2 now. This used to be a 5-on-2. We're here with 10 seconds remaining. There's Shala. He's going to throw one gas grenade. They saw it get tossed. Looks like Avian might get in and get the plant down. Census coming into the hallway. He gets one. He's going to come in from behind. And he gets the kill. Another double kill here from Census.
An excellent round from Lethal. Now that's 2 rounds on the board. I want to say this isn't what we expected to see, but we didn't expect CTM to be down 4 rounds. And also, moreover, what do you really expect from this era roster, which is relatively new? There's not a lot of familiar faces on here, at least not for era. There's Eclipse, Avian, and Snake, then that's the only thing they retained. And Eclipse and Avian are still kind of new to that team.
I feel like what might be happening here with era, and granted, era has always been a team that typically has lost the first or second round, and then they adjust and come back and win.
Exactly.
But I feel like what might be aiding in the detriment or in the clunkiness of their play could just be that, like King George said, these roster changes happened a week ago.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
not a lot of time to get that
Just-
synergy with your team.
Just happened. Like when I say roster change, I don't mean, oh, you know, they switched their players around and now they're kind of feeling it out. They've done some strats and dry runs. I mean, no. Just now they have new players. Like, congratulations, good luck in the Pro League. Here's your new players. I mean, it's similar. Like, okay, I tatted up Slashug, right, on CTM. He didn't perform super well in those first couple maps, but he just joined that team, like just a couple days ago. It may not even been a week ago. It just happened. So, yeah, no, this is a really fresh roster change for Era, and like you said, they typically do similar to CTM, find themselves down in the early round count, and then make a comeback. So, who knows? Maybe that's what we're going to see here.
Now, I want to say Avian just took a couple bullets of damage. I think he was reinforcing a doorway as some bullets went flying his way.
Yeah, possible. It looked maybe got shot through the west lobby doorway. But we are going to see the same exact attack that we saw from Lethal last time on the same exact site because Era failed to win that defense with the fuse going into the upstairs. Now, what I would have liked to see from Era in this situation is, okay, you know they're going to bring a fuse when you're defending upstairs? Go frickin' downstairs, man. Try to mix it up. Sure, fuse is arguably just as useful downstairs, but it
I was going to say that's one of the things about this map in particular is that if you're planning for a top-down approach, it works on middle floor and bottom floor.
Yeah. Absolutely, but at the same time, you're trying to throw their strats in a little bit of a disarray.
There's the C4 from Avian though, and that will pick off Senses, who was just too slow placing that charge down.
And that's a good way to throw a strat into disarray. Get rid of the fuse in its entirety.
Gun Havoc though going to answer back with his own kill onto Avian, and now he's still up here inside of the offices trying to get an angle down from the balcony into dining, into kitchen, where it looks like Eclipse is going to be at the moment. We've got just half the round remaining as we have all of top floor cleared out by the attackers. They're going to be maintaining control. Taking a look over here at the defenders, though, momentarily. We're going to have King George, Adam, and Eclipse still alive. It looks like Shala still playing on the fireplace stairs, working his way down to the fireplace here.
Only a minute left, and 4 versus 4. The attackers need to make something happen here, and the defenders are in a good position to stop it.
Oh, Snake pops out just in the perfect time. Eclipse took his eyes off. I'm sorry, not Eclipse. That was Gun Havoc. Took his eyes off of the doorway. And Snake's not going to get over-aggressive. He knows he downed him. He's going to go back in sight. No need to be over-aggressive when you're up a man.
Yeah,
or down a man.
Getting that player down wasted at least 25 seconds in of itself, and that's huge, especially when we're this close to the round being over. And you have that man advantage, just like you said. Patience is being expended to the extreme here by Era. They could have tried to get that kill. They didn't force it, and I really admire that from them right now.
I'd say if you would have asked them in Season 3, would they have gone for it?
Oh, they
the answer
would
would
totally,
be yes.
Yes, absolutely.
So this is some of that change that we've been talking about, but we've got 25 seconds to go. It's still a 4-on-3. You've got Gun Havoc, Shala, and Striker moving on forward. Shala's going to pick up 1, even out man count. You've got Adam inside a trophy. Looks like behind him, Snake is going to pick up Gun Havoc, and Thermite will go down. Last man alive is going to be Striker. He's got 9 seconds seconds to get 3 kills. He's moving on forward. Snake has been injured, but Adam is going to get that final kill and finally get Era on the board. It's 2-1 at the moment.
An excellent hold from Era, and just as you said, a new form of Era shows out their face here. Patient Era. We've never seen this before, and you have to wonder, is this okay? Yes, they brought on Adam. Maybe he's a patient player in of himself, just personally. But you have to wonder, is the leadership from King George? Did he just say, no, don't go for that kill, leave it, play patiently? Is he making these calls? Is he why they're not getting crazy aggressive as they're used to?
So I would be hesitant to say that the call to not make that push, as Snake hesitated to do, I would say that's not an immediate in-game call. I think that is what has been the philosophy of the team has changed in the past week, and so they've gotten it drilled into their heads.
What's the
Stop being
influence
aggressive.
there? Is it King George?
I think it's a little bit of King George. He's always played.
Right.
He's always been the level-headed, like slower paced.
Oh, absolutely,
gentleman.
Yeah, that's definitely his type of play. And I think it's a welcome change, personally, for Era. I think that's going to help them out a lot in the long run, and I want to see how it continues on as a trend. Or if it does continue on as a trend, or will Era revert back to their baser instincts and what we've seen them do time and time again and get just crazy aggressive, trying to make it work. We'll see what happens. Now we're gonna see
I hope garage door gets opened or gets closed off here soon.
a little bit, cutting it a little bit close there. 3 seconds left on the round time or the prep phase timer. But now we're gonna see Lethal defend basement, and I'm thinking from Era, where it looks like, based upon the fact that they have a Hibana and a Thermite, it looks like we're going to, and also their spawns, it looks like we're going to see a Wine Cellar take. Could be wrong, but that looks like what they're setting up to do here. Snake Nade might be trying to set up to hold that flank from above, and oh, there's the Mira. That's going to impede their progress quite a lot, especially considering they have the unreinforced wall right next to it. That's going to allow Mira to, or whomever is playing it, to shoot through the wall and kill whoever pushes down this hallway.
Yeah, I mean, we can basically see Eclipse. He's all the way by Snowmobile Garage, and he's basically going to try to open it up while Hibana, that's going to be, I think, Avian. Avian's going to move on over. They're looking to get that, like you said, that Wine Cellar push from the large garage, from the kitchen stairs, and it's now Eclipse's, all his job is to be that distraction, to keep on putting pressure onto that Snowmobile.
Right. And he's opened up the Snowmobile. Looks like they're probably going to possibly, I can't tell right now, but it's possibly going to leave somebody outside that Snowmobile to, like you said, exert that pressure, be that distraction, and then they're just going to take all the rest of their driving force, or no, all 4 or all 5 players accounted for, everyone's pushing through garage. They just opened it up for the sake of having it open as a distraction. Now they're going to try, open up the Wine Cellar, and they're going to push their way in, try to get a plant in the corner between the shelf and the wall of closet.
And we've seen a lack of Hibana going up and getting the drop hatches so far on this particular round.
Well, for the most part, if you're doing a Wine Cellar take, it's not really necessary. The drop above Wine Cellar itself is pretty much useless in an attack. The best it can be used for is laying down smokes or flashbangs, but you can't really drop down it. It's pretty much a death sentence.
Correct.
It's easier to just walk through the door. The other drops are also, for the most part, useless in this particular attack.
Now you see Gun Havoc actually dropped, picked up 1 kill onto Adam, and Snake's covered himself in smoke, waiting for Gun Havoc to push on out. He's got the cover with him, ready for the yellow icon, the yellow player icon to be. The drop goes, and he gets the kill. Very nice shot by Snake. Turns on over. He's going to pick up Striker as well. Eclipse is going to get Shala now, a 4-on-1. Senses is the last man alive here, and he's coming down the kitchen stairs right behind everyone here on Era. He moves on down perfectly right now, a little bit quiet. He might get the kill, but no, Avian hears the running, and that will be Senses going down. It's now 2-2.
A little bit of a mistake there from Senses, and with likelihood he wouldn't have clutched that out, to be honest. But if he had maybe just been a little bit more patient, they might not have expected him to come from behind. Could have picked off maybe 2, 3 people, put it into a 1v1, 1v2 situation, maybe gone for the clutch. But that's beside the point. The rest of the round is the important, juicy stuff here. What we saw from Era, they opened up this. Oh, by the way, this attack that they just executed, very old. It's been around for a long, long time, but it's consistently worked throughout history. It's it's one of those attacks that's hard to deal with, hard to counter. There's not a lot of things you can do.
And especially with the little tweaks that they did, such as bringing Glaz and throwing the smoke down, still using him to get the fire down. It's the little tweaks on the old metas, on the old strats, that will get you the wins.
Yeah, plus having the Hibana so you can open up that hole to peek in through main wall of Wine Cellar, as the one with the giant picture you can see over there off to the right. Being able to open that while also using Thermite to open big garage, or sorry, rather small garage, and the closet, means that they get the information through the wall without having to sacrifice one of their thermite charges. So they can open that small garage as a distraction. And yeah, it worked for them in their favor. Now I'm curious to see, are we going to see Lethal try to do the same exact thing? Or are they going to go for something a little bit newer? Are they going to try to do a bar take, which while newer is barely newer? Or are they going to try and just move their way in through Snowmobile? That still also is another one of those strats that technically, it just works.
I feel like, judging by where they're starting right now,
Looks like a bar / Snowmobile.
I want to say like a bar, back stairwell, garage push.
Yeah.
I feel like that might be what their mentality is, what their initial strat is for this round.
This is definitely not going to be a wine cellar take, and it is clear by the fact that they all spawned over here. They're going to try and, like you said, here's the strat. They're going to open up the small garage, which Avian is bandit tricking, so this is going to be a challenge, first of all. But they're going to try to get that open with Thermite. Then, Gun Havoc getting a pick onto King George just immediately right off the bat. A roamer up in Library. Now, that's an important pick. That means they don't have to worry about much pressure when they're pushing into bar. So that's what they're going to do. They're going to open up small garage. They're going to try and get the dominance on bar, which is above the site. They're going to open up the drop down, which is above the site. And they're going to just kind of push through the snowmobile, try to plant in the snowmobile opening while covering the plant from the drop down, which is above the site.
There's still this bandit charge game going on here with Shala and Avian.
Avian's doing an excellent job. That's a really difficult one to bandit trick, and you can see their Gun Havoc's coming over here with grenades now to put a stop to it once and
there
for
it goes. That will be, I think, the last charge, potentially.
Wow, Avian miraculously managed to stop Shala from opening up that small garage, which is really honestly very impressive considering the fact that there was a grenade there from, an Eclipse with a pick back
So
onto
that's evened out man count right now, and now the snowmobile garage is secure. Grenades will, or sorry, the thermite charges are done. There are 0 left on our thermite. That's going to be Shala. Gun Havoc, or I'm sorry, Eclipse is here inside of jungle looking for Gun Havoc coming out of kitchen. He's going to dome him down for the kill. A 3-on-4 at the moment. Now he's coming down the back stairwell as we're taking a look on Shala, who's working his way down blue stairs. Senses is going to try to cover from the side as Shala moves his way forward, gets rid of the echo, but I think he's been disoriented in the process. Now Habano did successfully get the bar drop hatch opened up with 60 seconds left to go. This is looking like it might go in favor of Era.
Yep. Now, the bush still works, by the way, according to Eclipse. But what happened there was when they denied Thermite from opening up that snowmobile garage, they forced them to reevaluate their strat. And now they really don't have a lot of options. They're man down, and there's not really much they can do.
It looks like Oz will not get the kill onto Adam. He picks him off with the headshot. That's dropping Diffuser. Last 2 alive are going to be Shala and Senses. Now Senses is coming in the back hallway here of Wine Cellar. And will he be determined? Will he be seen? Looks like he will down 1, but be killed in the process. Last man alive is going to be Shala. Gas grenades are going to stop his push just a little bit more. More bullets coming his way. And there's going to be the final shots from Snake with the Bearing 9 from Wine Cellar.
So as soon as Avian, I got it, by the way, MVP for that round, got to hand it to Avian. As soon as Avian stopped that thermite on that small garage, they were then forced to reevaluate their strat, and they didn't have any real options. They could open up drops, sure, but that's not really a lot to play with on this particular site in of themselves. And then they started, as they started reevaluating, readjusting, okay, let's try and do a wine cellar push, they got picked off by Eclipse, who was ready for that rotation. And then in the end, they're down man now. They don't really have any time. It's 3 seconds on the clock, 3 versus 4. I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to push into a doorway, get caught on barbed wire, and die to the disadvantageous advantage.
Like you had said, the MVP of that round was Avian, and I totally agree with that. And I think that goes to show, and that's a point to be noted, that you don't need to be the top fragger of a round to get the MVP. I don't think he got to kill that entire round.
He may not have.
But it was the most important play, keeping that garage secure.
Yeah, and that's really one of the parts of Siege that is truly a beauty, kind of unique, in that you can just straight up utility your way to the MVP spot, because if he hadn't done that, they could have easily lost that round. But now, we're looking at 3-2. Now, obviously, this is exactly what we were talking about earlier. This is what we see with CTM. This is what we see with Era historically. They go down the couple first rounds, and then they start to bring it back. And now Era, 3 rounds in a row. They're on a roll here. And here, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, the first Montaigne of the Playday today.
It's going to be Adam.
gonna be Adam.
Now, Senses unfortunately didn't realize there was a drone. That was King George's drone spotting him reinforcing the walls down there. So they know that there's going to be the Valkyrie downstairs yet again.
Right.
It's where he played last time. It's where he'll play again next time.
You know, I just want to say real quick, if you told me in Season 1 or Season 2 or hell, even Season 3, that we were going to be seeing Montaigne, Glaz, and Fuse meta, I would have laughed in your face. I would have been like, ha, you're hilarious. But here it is, ladies and gentlemen, Glaz, Fuse, Montaigne. And it's a hell of a combo.
Yeah. But it is nice to see. I mean, it goes to the diversity of this game, and not that there's not just one strat that will always work with one set of 5 operators.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're definitely right. And now, 2 minutes on the clock here. They have established dominance upstairs, and you're going to see Fuses coming down, and Montaigne's hunting roamers, and uh-oh, he's hunting the roamer.
There's going to be one roamer. Now, Adam looking to push Oz out of the library. He does successfully. That's going to push Oz all the way down. Senses, though, comes up the back stairs to pick up Eclipse as they are so focused on Oz retreating.
I'm a little worried about Adam because he's hunting a roamer with a bomb right now, and
Agreed.
the time is going to waste away here.
Now, what he needs to be careful of is he knows there's someone in bar, but he also knows that there's an opening on the footsteps beneath him, so he cannot go down any further.
And he shouldn't either because, again, the bomb.
But to his right there,
oh,
that's
no.
going to be Oz. He comes back up and goes for the shots, but again, the full shielded Montaigne is going to hold off yet again another fight. Now looks like King George will pick up Oz, turn favor back into him. He's also going to get a kill with a cluster charge. 4 on 2 at the moment as Snake gets that glass kill onto Gun Havoc.
Wow. The tables have turned.
It was a very quick turnaround here for Era to possibly go 4-2 up in this round. Now Shala's going to be stationed inside of the trophy room. We're weary of King George above. And we've got Senses, who's still downstairs. Looks like he might be making his way back up. He's here inside of the bar now. Spots Adam. I don't know if Adam saw him in return. It looks like he does.
He saw him.
He's going to push him again.
Uh-oh.
With 0 C4 in his
You're
hand.
stuck.
Now it's trapped. He goes for the hit, and boom, there goes the whack of the shield. Now last man alive is going to be Shala. He's stuck inside a trophy, and it looks like the push from the attackers is going to be inside of dining, moving on into kitchen.
Attackers have dropped the bomb.
And this is a 1v4. I think we all know how this is going to go. I think the important part about this round, the important aspect.
And there
through
goes the
wall.
bullet shots. Must have been the butt he saw sticking up out of the
Yep,
ground as
yep.
it was a yellow marker here for Glaz. Let's take another quick look. There it is. There's the butt, the headshot, and there's the win there for Era. It is 4-2 at the moment. This is match point.
I think the important part, the important note of that round was Era did not waste any time whatsoever. They just forced their way in, and in the end, they had plenty of time to push into the site on the last 2 remaining anchors. They didn't have to rush themselves whatsoever, and oftentimes that's how we see those situations, those clutches from those defending operators in a 2v4 situation, because there's only 20 seconds left on the clock. We gotta go, 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 and they just...
I will say, though, that I do like what I saw from Lethal there with their roam game.
Oh, yeah.
They were playing it correctly. They just lost their firefights.
You know what? I got to be honest. If there wasn't a Montaigne, they probably would have won that round.
Agreed.
Because
I mean, they had Gun Havoc, they had Senses, they had Oz. They were lurking on all 3 stories, and they were doing it with communication.
And yeah, and they set up some fantastic crossfires. It just came down to it. They had an immortal being lumbering towards them, and they couldn't handle it. So anyway, now, as you said, we are on match point, and we're going to be seeing a trophy defense from Era. There will be a Fuse. There will not be a Glaz. There will not be a Montaigne. Now, you have to wonder, and honestly, I personally wonder, why, Lethal, are you not bringing what other people consider to be meta to the playing field? Where's the Montaigne? Where's the Glaz?
Well, I think again, this goes to, have they had time to fit it into their strategy?
It's possible.
Some would say yes, some would say no. But at the same time, we also saw last season, in Season 3, not the 6 Invitational, but we saw a team Lunatic. They were the ones that actually brought the Montaigne meta into North America PC without Montaigne even getting his buff. He didn't have that C4 indestructibility.
Yeah, they were trying to make it work.
So they were still working it.
Yeah.
And so I see Lethal Gaming in similar shoes, trying to make another strat work for them, and it looks like it's been doing an okay job. It hasn't worked out fantastically for them.
Yeah, I mean, I can get behind that. I can agree with that, but also, moreover, like, this is not something new. You know, what Lethal was doing with their Montaigne before the buff, that was something new. Nobody expected that. It worked okay for them, not spectacularly, obviously, but This is just old hat, what they're doing. It's not, here we're being revolutionary. This is the same exact thing that we've seen time and time again for a long, long time. Even Fuse on this particular site has been used for a long time, pre-buff, you know? This is there's nothing revolutionary about this. Uh-oh, Snake Dave. Oh, he got away.
He's got to get out of dodge. It looks like his C4 may have missed.
Yeah, but I don't know. I want to see a little bit more of the new stuff from Lethal here. I think it would be in their favor.
Now Avian might get caught in here in the fuse charges. Looks like he's going to go down. He's going to get forced on over into the corner of dining and avoid the charges. That's one last fuse charge left here for Senses. Actually, no, he utilized it somewhere. It looks like it might have been in kitchen.
Unfortunately, the breaching charge does not go all the way through the floor there on that particular occasion. Now, there's only a minute 20 on the clock, and they have not gotten a single pick. There are still roamers ready to pounce on the attackers when they start to move and push in. Yes, they have established dominance upstairs, but no, they do not have anything to show for it. Their fuse charges were unsuccessful, and overall, they have no openings here. They're going to probably just try to move through the dining door.
That's one of the things that I still constantly see Fuse players do. Like you said, Fuse has been around for a long time, but I still see Fuse players trying to get kills with him as opposed to using it to move the defense around.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. Oh, wow. Adam getting a pick on a Gun Havoc, challenging from the B window. That is not good for Gun Havoc. Unfortunately, that's not the sort of engagement that you're supposed to lose. You've got a rifle. He's got an SMG. You know where he is. He knows where you are, but you're supposed to win that fight.
Yep. And so now Senses is here waiting for a pick. He knows
it's not going to come.
It's not going to come. You know Era. They know that where the picks are going to be from. They know they're not going to put themselves in that situation. So with 25 seconds left, looks like Avian comes up for a flank, or comes up right on the push here from Fireplace. He gets 2 kills. Adam's going to pick up a second kill of his own. It's all up to Striker. Now Striker is inside of the dining hall. I'm sorry, inside of Fireplace. He's going to pick up that diffuser, move on in, and Avian's going to get his 3rd kill right here with the shotgun, and that's going to be Era winning map number 1, 5-2, coming back with a 5-0 win right there.
And the GGs come out from everybody. And I have to come back to what I said at the beginning of this match. It was a mistake to bring Era to Chalet. That was just dumb. Okay, maybe don't ban it. Oh, if you're confident, if you're really confident, but do not pick it. That is not your first map. That is they're gonna pick it. Just like stay away. Like I don't understand.
Yeah.
You don't bring Era to that map. I don't care how much the roster changes. Like that's just no. Moreover, on that last round in particular, they lost their confidence.
They did.
They slowed way down.
So as we mentioned before, it looked like their momentum played a role. Their momentum, their emotions.
Yeah, and
like,
you have to wonder, is
they won the first round? They were like, yes, we can win the second, and then they lost the third, and it was just downhill from there.
And you have to wonder, is that going to scale into the next map? Please no. Please.
I hope not.
Yeah.
That's what a good Pro League team has the ability to do, is to not let stuff bleed over from map to map.
And this has historically been their problem.
Agreed.
When they're competing in this circumstances, there's so much pressure on their shoulders. This particular team, Gun Havoc and Senses, whatever team they've been on in the past, they get this pressure on their shoulders and they forfeit to it, and they lose because of it. And there's a lot of skill on the Lethal Gaming lineup. There's a lot of they hit their shots, right? They make their plays, but oftentimes they just come down to one simple mistake that costs them the game. Like for example, losing the Thermite challenge, or the Thermite to Bandit jungle on the Snowmobile Garage. When they lost that, they lost a round. And here we have that last round. Again, I just want to touch real quick on that last round. Like you were talking about, they were using their fuse wrong. You need to use fuse to push people away from where they're trying to hold, because they have to leave.
So let's dig into that for a split second. The mind of a defender is you're going to bunker down and hold a soft angle, for the most part, generally speaking.
For like an anchor, yeah.
Now, worst case scenario for a defender is they have to relocate and find another angle to hold.
Grenades, flashbangs, fuse charges.
Fuse charges, yes, they're another way. And so with that, the big thing that people are missing with fuse, I feel like, in current meta, is the forcing a defender to move, to relocate. If you can catch a defender in transition, that is a lot less risky for you as an attacker than it is for you taking them one-on-one in an angle that they already have set up.
It's real simple. You know they're playing in dining. You stick a Blackbeard on kitchen window. You fuse from office. They move out of dining to dodge the fuse.
Yep.
The Blackbeard kills them. I mean, like, it's just 1-1.
It seems like their operators are not fitting well together on both sides. I mean, we didn't see fuse get played correctly
because what they're going for is just dumb luck. Hopefully we get a fuse kill. But anyway, we are going to continue on into the next match. We're going to be playing Clubhouse right off the bat, and this is going to be the second match, or second map of this particular matchup. Lethal Gaming down 1 map to Era's, Lethal down, they're down 0 maps to Era's 1 map.
Yeah,
so
so
now,
this is a best of 3 at the moment, and so if Era can win this, they'll take home the win for tonight against this in this series. However, if Lethal can come out of this mix and come up with a win, we will move on into Skyscraper, our 3rd map of the evening.
And I honestly think that Skyscraper is going to heavily favor Era. If it gets to that, it will heavily favor Era. I think that this Lethal has a good chance on Clubhouse because it's down to fundamentals, and it's honestly it's an extremely simple map. Anybody can get it right. So I feel like if Lethal's gonna bring it back, obviously it's got to be here, and it's gonna be here. So here we go. Lethal starting it off on defense, which is good on this particular map. Basement Clubhouse is pretty easily defended. If they can get this first round on the board, that is what we talked about earlier. Their mentality is important to this team. So if they can get this first round on the board, establish themselves, and get that confidence back, renew that, then I feel like they have a really good chance of taking this whole entire map.
They do, and I think one of the things that will aid Lethal in this is the amount of times Era has played this map. And now I know there are different rosters, different meta now, but you can still pick up instances from watching previous history, previous games with Era on here. So I feel like that will aid Lethal should they have utilized that opportunity.
Yeah, now that really just comes down to them and their dedication, and I think that they are dedicated enough to make that happen. But we'll see what they do if they directly counter. Oh no!
Oh, and the first kill from Snake right onto the Dome of Oz. Now, Oz, unfortunately, on Chalet, dropped to 0, and it looks like he's not off to a good start either here.
No, that is a really bad pick in terms of Lethal. And they're going to be, it looks like this is an old strat that Era used to pull off a little bit, I think in Season 3, Season 2.
Now, he does have to be very cautious here because we do have Shala underneath with the C4 in hand and the heartbeat sensor ready to go. Just waiting for the foot.
Oh,
he's going to throw it. Oh, and he gets the kill. He gets him. King George also going to pick up Gun Havoc. Ascent is going to take down King George in return. A 3-on-3 at the moment with all of this chaos ensuing what would be seeming very early on in the round. Another C4 kill from Senses. That's going to give him a double kill this round with Avian and Eclipse last 2 alive. Avian's going to take quite a bit of bullets here from Senses as he's going to back on out, look down towards the main hallway. Eclipse playing the Blackbeard, coming in through Blue Hall. Season, but misses the kill. And again, we're here with 3-on-2. Still half the round left to go.
Everything was going in Era's favor, but they just lost the engagements. That C4 from Pulse from underneath absolutely turned the tide. Senses with excellent gunplay, and now we're seeing Avian rushing in.
Ooh, and he gets the kill on a Striker. Now, even in an out man count, 2-2. Still 60 seconds. Eclipse is actually going to try to push Shala here. He sees him. Oh, he turned his head at the wrong time. Sense is going to get his triple kill of the round. Can he make it 4? He's here in the back. He knows he's right here in the back box. Looking for him. He sees the hands, goes for the shots, and he gets him downed. Will not get him killed yet. Shala, however, it's going to turn to a 1-on-1. Still lots of time. A 4-on-4, however, Shala's there. And Lethal Gaming is going to pick up round number 1 on this map, Clubhouse.
You have to wonder if Eclipse thought the bomb was planted or something. What was going on there, man? You need to establish yourself on that bomb. You do not have time to play hunky-dory with the Pulse. Unfortunately, an attempt at a win. It was very close. I just want to say that. It was very close. Era, they got themselves into blue. They were establishing themselves above Kitchen, but the Pulse stopped that, and it's put pretty much an end to half of their plan.
Yep.
And it looked almost as if they were going to try and push into Armory, but there was just too much of a defending presence there. The top down was unsuccessful, so that they switched up their strategy. They tried to go through Moto directly into A site, and the way they executed it is reminiscent of a strat they used to use, but I feel like they gutted it and removed some aspects. There used to be, in that particular strat, there used to be grenades coming in to kill the guys who were playing in A from holes in the hallway from above. There used to be Capitao bolts going to cut off the rotation so they could easily move into A without dealing with any of the Armory guys, and they cut that out. I'm not really sure what I saw from Era just now. I feel like it was a gutted one of their former attacks, maybe to make up for the fact that they have not as much synergy as they used to, given that they've got a pretty new roster.
Yep.
You know, people they're not really used to.
I mean, changing up 40% of your roster can do that to you.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like they just dumbed it down a little bit. They were like, okay, instead of all this complicated hoodoo, we'll just throw everyone into the site all at once, and it just didn't pay off. Ooh, and second Montaigne of this entire day. Look at that, and it's on lethal this time. So they are bringing the quote-unquote new meta to the game. It looks like they're going to also try to push in through construction. That looks like their plan. They do not have a thermite, so that means they're going to sacrifice one of the drops in favor of pushing their way in through construction tunnel. I'm not sure.
See, now this is dangerous in my eyes
Me too,
when you're a
yeah.
Montaigne, because as a Montaigne, what is your biggest fear?
Getting shot with your shield down.
Well, I would say that was my second fear. My first fear is smoke.
Right.
Smoke is
yeah.
my first fear.
Oh,
so
and now you're
if
trapped in
you
tunnel.
are trapped here in tunnel, Smoke can easily toss one. He can keep pushing you back, and then you're trapped in the back of tunnel.
No, absolutely right. Absolutely right. He's probably going to try and bait out all three of the smokes and then play back, but we'll see what happens. It looks like Smoke's already used one of his on the stairs, and there's a second one. He's only got one left, and there's still 2 minutes on the board. This is not good.
This is a good job by Lethal trying to bait out these smoke grenades, because that is the downfall here of Montaigne, especially pushing in from tunnel.
Yeah, and it looks like the Mira, one of them is going to be going onto the kitchen drop, and I'm guessing the other one's probably going to go on the Moto eventually when they get there. Ash is pushing her way in through the stairs, trying to get a little bit aggressive on Armory. Only one reinforcement on that Armory wall. That's abnormal and honestly not good for Era.
Ooh, and it looks like Senses was trying to peek up behind Shala and will get picked off by Adam. That is, again, another downfall. There's going to be the last smoke grenade, but it looks like Snake Nade will get taken out before it gets detonated. So Striker picking up that kill from the kitchen hatch is going to turn man count into 4-on-4 at the moment. They know that Shala's back in Cave Tunnel. They know Gun Havoc is down at the bottom of the main stairs. They heard the castle wall get blown to shreds. They know someone's inside a kitchen. Now they just need to know, where is that last attacker? Where is Oz? They don't know yet.
Both teams taking their time looking for those picks. Era not giving up any.
Ooh, and it's going to be Avian, who came up from Garage, I want to say, came up into Bar.
Absolutely.
And got the flank onto Oz as Eclipse is going to pick off Gun Havoc. Right now, Shala is inside of the cave tunnel, and you've got Striker here inside of the kitchen. He's not even looking yet. It looks like some bullets are going to go flying. He finally is aware of Avian going for the peek. There's going to be a bit of engagement here. Eclipse is going to go down. Avian gets one on a Striker. Adam looks like he team killed. Last man alive is going to be Shala. Now he has been disoriented. Kern turns around, but Avian will pick up the kill on a Shala and turns into favor of Era. 1-1 at the moment.
And I said at the beginning that this particular map is pretty freaking easy. Everybody understands the basics of this map. And that was just straight up sloppy play from Lethal. They had themselves established in construction tunnel. Somebody got picked from behind a Montaigne. That's not supposed to happen. From there, they wasted the smoke grenades, but they didn't capitalize on that at all. And then the main thing, the icing on the cake, the cherry on top, they had a Claymore, but it wasn't at the top of Garage Ladder. I just want to say this because you drone out the entirety of the building on this map
That is
to
like,
make sure that there are no roamers. That's step number one. Everybody knows that. And then you put a freaking Claymore at the top of Garage Ladder, and they cannot flank you ever. And that is the simple step 1 and 2 for denying flanks on this particular attack.
So speaking of flanks and roamers,
And they messed that up.
one of the things that I'm curious as to your input, why we haven't seen a Jackal yet. Now, on this map in particular, typically it's always a 5-man on-site defense.
Okay.
But on other maps like Chalet, there's always been a lot of roamers, and we haven't seen Jackal really make an appearance.
Because in Pro League, everybody just knows. Like, okay, so if there's a roamer, yes, okay. You might not know where exactly the roamer is, but you know there's a roamer, and you can drone it. And it's just more efficient to simply have a teammate drone it for you and play it together, teamwork, than it is to waste utility that you could get from Montaigne, that you could get from Glaz. I mean, it's funny that I'm saying Glaz has utility, but Glaz has utility. He brings a function.
He's got a purpose, yes.
Yeah, he brings a function to the team. Jackal does have utility. He brings, yes, he has function, but not as much as Glaz, not as much as Montaigne, not as much as Sledge, not as much as Blackbeard, not as much as any of the other utility-focused, Habana, Thermite. You know, these operators are just better picks, and that's really what it comes down to.
And Snake trying to just go for a blind shot, almost took the cap off of Shala, I think that was.
That was just like a pixel off. He was probably maybe hitting the boxes, the shelving unit in the middle.
Very possible.
Yeah. But all the same, looks like they're going to be setting up for a stock take, straight up.
Yeah, and that's
No
typically
Montaigne,
we would
though.
typically see a Montaigne when
Right.
the push wants to happen that way, but instead we will not see him. We're going to see a Glaz instead, and to me this means that they're going to push in, possibly have the Blackbeard there.
Try to
but
bait it out, you
ultimately it's going to be a smoke and Glaz shot.
Yeah,
that's what's
yeah.
going to come down to hold it.
I think they're going to, yeah, I think you're right. I think they're going to smoke it off, and they're going to bait out the plant to try and get the defenders to peek into their glass. I think that's exactly what, exactly right.
Now Eclipse is good here. He sees
Oh,
the Oz,
no.
but unfortunately, right there, the 416 will take down Blackbeard.
You got to win those, man. You got to
You
shield
do. You
it.
knew he was there.
Yeah.
And now Oz is feeling very claustrophobic. He pushes him out. He's actually going to get another on the King George. A wonderful double kill. Oz has done his job. If he dies in this location, it's still a job well done for him. But he is not done yet. Avian's going to pick up one on the Gun Havoc, though, trying to turn odds back in favor of Era, but he still has a long way to go.
Senses is playing underneath the bomb site. Now, you might be thinking, oh, he's useless down there. No. Senses is down there because he can throw his smoke grenades up into the site to deny the plant from pretty much anywhere.
Correct.
So he is also not exposed whatsoever.
He's keeping a good eye on that drop hatch
right.
there.
He's ready for that. He knows that they know he's down there. But at the same time, he's not exposed. And he can deny the plant anywhere in the site.
Oh, and it looks like Oz finally gets blinded here, but no
He
push
gets another
gets
kill,
onto
though.
him.
That's 3 kills
He
for
did
Oz.
get another. You're right.
He's going to get the ace, I wonder.
Oh, we've got Avian who will get taken out by Shala. That takes away the ace we were just talking about. But last man alive is going to be Adam. Now he has the DMR, looking towards garage, spots Oz, and finally takes him down.
Why couldn't he have done that sooner, I wonder?
Agreed. And so now he's going to move on over. He's still very wary of that garage. He knows someone's underneath. Like we said, senses is down there. But will that be enough? Will that information be enough? It looks like Adam he's feeling very cautious of that window. Striker's going to throw a couple bullets his way. Sees him and finally gets the final shots down onto him. Lethal Gaming goes up 2-1 here on Clubhouse.
What the heck are you thinking, Era? You're attacking stock without a Montaigne? I understand it a little bit. You're trying to go for those picks and win those, get those, win those engagements, but you didn't. You didn't do that. You lost those engagements. You lost 3 people to Oz straight up, just one person in a doorway, a single doorway. He killed 3 people from the same spot. Like
He's
you need to win
basically
those engagements.
he's tucked in a cubby. Like you
Right.
can't move out of there without being put into a crossfire.
How do you lose that? And moreover, how do you lose that with a shield in front of your face when your torso is protected? Like Oz. Okay, first of all, props to Oz, right? Like, that was a great round from him. He totally dominated that. But moreover, like, just bad decision-making, I think, from an Era, bringing the wrong operators. And when they, I get their idea, but they didn't execute well enough. They didn't win the fights that they were trying to put themselves into position to win.
Agreed.
Now, we're going to be seeing Era defending Bar. And it's going to be interesting to see where, looks like a Montaigne, so I'm guessing it's going to probably be a stock B take from Lethal, which is pretty predictable. This is what everybody's seen time and time again. It's entirely possible that I'm wrong, and they will go for an A take, maybe from Strip Hallway, but I don't anticipate
So, I mean,
that.
just looking at these operator choices, what I kind of see happening now, it might change because we also see Era kind of defending it differently. They're actually going to hold garage.
Yeah.
What I would have expected to see was Striker move into garage, open up garage wall, while you have Glaz and Shala move forward into the stock from kennels. You possibly either have Oz or you have Gun Havoc out of kitchen hallway, outside by the construction, and that's how you collapse onto stock.
That's one of the ways that you can do. Yeah, definitely one of the ways that you can execute on the stock. And I think, that looks like it's going to be something similar to that. What's happening here is they're going to be clearing out the barbed wire. They don't even need to do that, but hey, why not? You've got the grenade. And then they're just going to kind of smoke and plant, it looks like. There is going to be a smoke, hopefully, in the site or underneath it to deny the plant. I can't quite tell from this angle. Yeah, there's the first smoke, sounds like, to deny that plant.
Now, there is Jaeger on cash stairs. That's going to be Eclipse.
Actually, that's one of their smokes, and there's no smoke. There's only a Valkyrie. Where is their smoke right now?
Their smoke is, well, it looks like, I don't know where their
Valkyrie
smoke is actually
site.
upstairs, I want to say. Possibly
that
all the way up.
Love to find out.
Now we are going to have Montaigne push his way. That's Shala pushing his way in even further. What I would expect to see is actually have Sledge come in here, get that plant down, so that Glass can cover through the smoke.
Yeah, no, I totally would see that. But it looks like it's probably going to be Thatcher. Similar, pretty much the same. And that's exactly, it's happening. There's
not even any smoke
Where's
yet, but
the smoke?
there's the plant. It finally goes down. You still have Senses who's holding on. He's going to spot Adam. Misses the
Where
butt
are you
shots
looking?
onto him, though, and finally gets domed by Eclipse, who moves on forward. And he can't get Shala down just yet, but he goes for it. He gets it down. Avian's also going to get one. And this is a perfect plant for Lethal, all gone wrong. And now Eclipse is going to get another kill. Last one alive is going to be Striker, a 3-on-1. Now a 2-on-1 with Eclipse being injured.
Okay, first of all, that was sloppy, Era. Second of all, what the heck, Era? They just exploded. They totally lost their defense in the beginning. There was no way that they were coming back from that, and then they just did. They just murdered
That
Lethal.
was a perfect, probably somewhat unintentional
But
collapse.
perfect.
It was a
Yeah.
perfect unintentional collapse onto the onto the attackers.
And just the same way, it was a perfect freaking attack from Lethal. Nothing went wrong in their attack. It was just all just systematic. Okay, we're a Montaigne or plant barbed
The biggest
wire,
thing that went wrong was Glaz missing the shots onto Adam, because that took up so much of his time that he couldn't look for Eclipse.
Yeah, no, definitely. But overall, just like, what the heck just happened? That was crazy.
I mean, it was a fabulous plant by Lethal. They got in. I think it was only 60 seconds into the round, and the plant went down.
Just couldn't hold it.
They couldn't, and that goes to show one of the things that a lot of players tend to misinterpret when they have a site early on in the round is they feel they need to get that plant down very soon. Whereas if you don't have your team set up to help cover, to help protect the site after it
Sometimes
gets planted,
it's the wrong decision.
it is the wrong decision to plant so early.
Yeah.
Now, I don't feel like that was the issue here. No. I felt like the
No.
issue was just missed shots when push came to shove.
Yeah, first of all, I just want to wonder, what was Adam peeking? Like, okay, yeah, Glaz missed his shots, but he was staring to pool table. There was nobody near the pool table.
Maybe
don't understand.
maybe the lack of smoke is what caused him to feel a little confusion, because normally you're thinking that there's going to be smoke in stock when the plant goes down. Seeing you didn't hear any smoke, so the plant went down. What do you think? Well, did they somehow get into the pool table? Somehow? I don't know.
Maybe, but also, like, I feel, where was Smoke? Like, the defensive operator?
Where's
Smoke?
the gas?
He
I have
should
no
been in
idea.
the corner or underneath the site. That was just a weird round. Overall, just a really weird round.
Agreed.
But now we're going to see 2-2. It could go either way at this point, obviously, and we're going to see Era on attack for Basement. Now, they are not bringing Montaigne, they are bringing Glaz, which leads me to believe that they're probably going to try and execute the same way that they did last time. Hopefully, it'll go a little bit better this time. Maybe they won't get C4'd from underneath, cough, cough, Adam, and they'll get those picks that they really need. We'll see.
Now Oz is being droned out here. Looks like by one of the attackers' drones. I missed who was on it, but Eclipse is going to push his drone down as well. So knowing that Oz is in here, seeing as how Eclipse is going to try to fight him.
Yeah, this is going to be the same attack that we saw last time. They're going to try and push through Moto and Blue, I think.
Yep.
It's because the way this works is usually you try to pinch one of the sides of the site. You either pitch Construction in Blue, or you pinch Moto in Blue, or you try and force your way in through Stairs, which is a little bit different. Or maybe you push Blue and the drop down in the site, in Armory. But it's pretty common from Era that they'll push or pinch between Blue and Moto, which looks, yeah, that's what they're setting up to do. They're just applying pressure to above kitchen because they can, but Lethal picking off Eclipse, pushing down the constructor.
Senses is also going to get another one here on a Snake. This is looking good here for Lethal.
Yeah.
Taking down 2 early kills, two of the strong, powerful attackers, the Blackbeard and the Glaz.
I talked about this earlier, and Blackbeard, oh wow,
Ooh,
nice
a nice
shot.
flick by Adam.
I talked about this earlier. Era used to have a little bit more of a detailed strat when they were taking this particular way, and they used to cover. Oh no!
Looks for the dome, and he gets the shoulder, and there's the dome kill by Adam, trying to redeem himself from the C4 death earlier. A 3-on-3 now. Looks like we're going to have Hibana drop. Avian and King George both drop. Adam's about to follow suit. Avian's going to get this plant down as King George is trying to hold it. He looks up, he peeks up, but Senses is there to get the headshot. A 2-on-3 plant has gone down. Looks like Avian will be taken up by Senses. That's a 3K for Senses so far. Can he get another 4K? Let's look on up. He's looking for Adam. Adam is going to be killed off here.
Oh no!
And that's going to be Lethal Gaming taking home this win, 3-2 at the moment.
A technical 4, it counts.
It counts. That's a 4K. Now Senses was about to get a 4K. I think that was on round number 1. But he got the 3K instead and got killed after.
Senses has been dropping bombs in this match. Very
He has
impressive.
been doing very strong.
So, what happened with that attack from Era? They rushed it, and that's the truth. And also, moreover, again, they used to cover their Blackbeard pushing down Blue They don't do that anymore. They didn't cover him. He just walked down blue, lost the engagement to Jaeger, which, by the way, wow, he lost the engagement to Jaeger. And then the round was pretty much over from there. They didn't have anything to pinch with. They could still apply pressure, but they can't apply crossfire. They can't push the enemies into their teammates. That's not happening anymore. So their best option was what they did, just straight up. Let's go down into kitchen. Adam's got us 2 picks, moving right into armory. So let's try and play off that. It could have worked. It didn't work. Senses with an excellent retake, and now. Now we're going to see the Montaigne push again from Lethal going into the same site. Hopefully it'll work for them this time. I think it's going to come down to if they... I feel like last time the reason Lethal lost is that they were really just super spread out.
They were super spread out. They were not coordinated in their pushes.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you saw the sledge die behind Montaigne very early on, and then Montaigne just was there by himself, like, okay, what do I do?
Yeah, how do you do that, by the way? That's not, like, the whole point of having that Montaigne there is he's telling you exactly where the enemy is, and you need to play off that instead of guessing. And it felt like he was, you got to wonder, if somebody dies behind a Montaigne is maybe you're just guessing, or maybe it's bad teamwork with the Montaigne. It's entirely possible.
It is possible.
Yeah.
It could be that, hey, Shala could be very new to the team, very new on Montaigne.
Right.
And so he hasn't learned that maybe the best method for a Montaigne is to stand still. I mean, I do see him swaying from side to side, and that could be detrimental to his rear end.
Yeah. But now we're going to see the same exact thing, which means they're limiting themselves to 2 drops, which means they can't get blue, or they can't get bar, or they can't get kitchen. Now it's up to them which one they don't get. But I think
Eclipse is just going to say, all right, I know they're coming down the tunnel. We're just going to leave them in there for now.
But I feel like an easy solution, honestly, would be just, and they impacted the grenade. They impacted the Hibana charges on the kitchen drop. That means there's only 1 Hibana left. They can only open 1 drop down.
And that is a fantastic move. I was actually just thinking about that. If they can throw it up and hit the side sink or whatever it may be. So very good job. Snake is going to get gun havoc, though, but Striker from behind the Montaigne will pick off Adam. Last time, Adam won that engagement.
Yeah. But still still at, 4-4. And it looks like it's kind of going in favor of the defenders, considering they don't have to deal with that kitchen drop down. Yes, they've got the Montaigne and the sledge pushing in through the construction tunnel, but that's not really a lot of pressure. It's almost superficial when you could factor in that they've got a crossfire established on them. It comes down to, I think, if Census can get a pick onto one of these players, then they might be able to get a successful push straight into armory.
Yeah, I feel like they're just...
And their Avian is setting up for that flank again. They're not watching it.
He got all the way back up here. He will get Senses from behind. And Oz is actually already downstairs inside of the main hallway. Avian just knows, all right, I've got the freedom to move forward. He's going to keep it quiet, moves on into bar. Now, Senses is going to be the first person he sees. King George is going to pick up Oz. That's the Thatcher that was inside of the main hallway. It looks like he got to go through Moto. 60 seconds left to go, a 4-on-3. And Diffuser still. Diffuser is right in the eyesight of Avian. He just needs to turn the corner a little bit. All he's got to do is just sit there. He knows Diffuser's there. Striker's going to get Snake nade. That's the engagement that Snake needed to win.
Avian knows he has the Diffuser. He doesn't have to go anywhere. He could solo this round out.
Agreed. And now Sense is going to be the last one alive as Eclipse gets Striker and Shala. That's going to be the Sledge and Montaigne inside a cave. Last man alive again is going to be Sense. He's going to try to challenge King George here inside of Church. But without the Diffuser in 33 seconds, this is looking like it will go in favor of Era. Senses tries to come back into Moto, but he knows he's got no way out. He's going to go upstairs, try to get that Diffuser. It won't work out for him. 20 seconds to go. He's going to try to get all 3 kills, and it will not be in his favor with 15 seconds left.
No way he pulls this off. He doesn't have enough time to go upstairs, get the bomb and plant, and then kill.
But he's going to try. He gets 1 and moves on through the barbed wire. But again, Avian doesn't need to do anything other than just look at the bomb and boom. And there's going to be a little bit of a potato by King George, but he does come up with the recovery to finish off Senses and turn it into 3-3.
Hey, if it works, you know. That particular round was just all over the place from Lethal. Super sloppy. They kind of just...
It was a very good job.
Their plan?
It was a very good job by Striker getting the kills onto Adam and Snake. But again...
MVP goes to the impact grenade.
You can only do so much from that cave tunnel. Once you kill off 2 people... You now have to push in, or you have to wait for your team to get around.
And then, yeah, again, the Hibana charges on the kitchen drop down, like, getting rid of that. Good job, Castle. That's, again, it's what we talked about earlier. Bandit denying Thermite access to the snowmobile garage on Chalet.
Yep.
MVP, congratulations. When you when you deny those points of contention, it's just too important to their attack. They don't know what to do now, and that obviously showed. They got a little sloppy. They got all over the place. Their attack can just faltered as soon as they couldn't get that kitchen.
Now, if for some reason this goes into overtime and Avian is allowed to come up and they hold on to the bottom side again, I can tell you for a fact, unless there's a Claymore on top of that ladder, Avian will come back up. He will go for a flank.
What the heck is that? Like, come on, guys. This is 101
I think
Clubhouse.
what I'm confused with you about not having the Claymore there, but I'm more confused as about why the last defender topside, or the last attacker topside, didn't bring the diffuser down with him.
Yeah, that too. It seems like Lethal is just a little all over the place on this particular map. Maybe what's happening here is they're letting their emotions get to them, like we talked about earlier, and they're skipping over like basic fundamental steps of Pro League play. And not only Pro League play, I think you can even see it sometimes in ranked play. We'll have a Claymore at the top of that ladder when they're pushing into a basement because everybody knows you don't roam on that particular site.
Yeah, that seems to be part of the standard strat for an attacker. So the fact that it's being bypassed is either intentional or it's not intentional, and I feel like it's not intentional.
I feel like, yeah, they're making a mistake. Like, it just is plain as day. And that's not the only one they've made so far. They really need to step up. And it's not, because the thing is they're not losing their engagements. They're winning their engagements most of the time. But it doesn't matter because their fundamentals are just flawed.
Yep, and oh, there's the fuse charge, though, forcing AWZ out. But Oz has been here before. He's been in this situation, and he picked up 3 kills previously.
Can he do it? Once more. Once more into the breach, dear Oz.
Now he will get droned out here by Eclipse, and there's going to be a little push, but Smoke is going to go into the library, or sorry, into the lobby, and Eclipse picks up that kill and wins the engagement.
Doesn't even need to see him. Just sprays through that smoke. He knows.
Ooh, Gun Havoc is going to get domed by Snake from Garage as he peeks on out. A very good shot here by Snake. Now all he has to do now that he doesn't have C4, I'm sorry, Claymore to cover that ladder, he does have to keep an eye on it.
Yeah, and I think there is a defensive operator actually downstairs, so...
Last time it was Senses. I think we will still see Smoke there. Now that's, I think, his second gas grenade.
That's exactly where he is. He is downstairs. He does have one more smoke grenade to deny this plant, but ultimately, 1 minute left on the clock. He's not going to be able to do it by himself. There's other utilities going to have to start getting used here by the defenders, and most of it's gone. And Snake Nade ready for Senses to start getting aggressive on Garage in case he does.
Yeah, he knows he's down there. Now, Snake has the potential to push him if he wanted to, but
does he need to?
Doesn't need to.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to, and that is smart play. That is smart thinking.
Yeah, because 50 seconds on the clock, 1-man advantage, and nobody to stop the plant except for one little smoke grenade coming from below. And it looks like they're actually going to try and push the diffuser a little bit further up.
Ooh, Shala almost is. He's down to 1 health in a dream, it looks like. He manages to evade death for the time being up against the Blackbeard, but Eclipse will take him down finally. Senses moves on in to get Snake as King George picks off Striker. Last one alive is Senses. They know he's downstairs in the basement. That's where Smoke has always played. And so now it's a 3-on-1. He's got to come back to site. Diffuser will get planted, it appears, and Eclipse is going to be holding onto the fort. And there's the hallway shot from Eclipse, looking down kitchen into the main stairwell to pick off Senses.
Eclipse doing what Blackbeard does and just denying those angles. This is what we wanted to see from him last round. This is why they don't pick that Montaigne, because they want to simply kill the enemy and win their engagements. And it worked for them this time. But Eclipse, the reason they lost that last round on that last attack on that particular bomb site was because Eclipse got picked off so early. It didn't happen this time, and it worked. And as you saw, it worked perfectly. I just want to touch on the fact that you saw there from Fuse his AK-47. A lot of people don't know this, but the AK-47 has some of the highest DPS in the game. So when he was coming around that corner on that dock, he knew, okay, he could hear it was a dock. So right, you got to aim for the head. No, you don't have to aim for the head. You just delete people
lay it down
with that AK-47. So now moving into match point and moreover,
potentially series point. Series point. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. Series point. One more round, that's all they need. They have to defend Bar, though, and this is the difficult site. This is the problem child. This is where nobody really wants to go. Take a look at this scoreboard. You can see clearly that on the Era side, there's a little bit more of an evenly spread out scoreboard. You can see Gun Havoc, as the spectator's trying to emphasize, has 0 kills. He's having a bad day. We all have bad days, but, you know, it's unfortunate in this particular circumstance. to have 0 kills.
Yeah, because I mean, this is the map that counts.
This is this is the map that counts. Gun Havoc is one of the oldest players on that team in terms of veterancy. And he needs to be able to, show up and help his team out in this situation. I can't help but feel that if Gun Havoc got like 3 kills in the next couple rounds, they might even just win. Like 1 kill per round from someone in that situation when your team is pulling that much weight. I mean, it's 4-3, and they have one person who's not getting any kills. Imagine if he just starts getting one.
In general, it is possible for a quote-unquote support player or a shield player to not get kills, but that's not the case. Gun Havoc is on Glaz, one of your intentional killers.
Right, exactly.
So it's not. He's not getting the kills that he needs to, obviously.
Yeah, and I think that's holding his team back in this certain circumstance. But you can't all blame it on Gun Havoc. This really does come down to a lot mostly to strategy, and you have to say that the fundamentals of Lethal are just lacking. We've talked about this before. There's some things that are common sense that are just not happening. And here we go again with Lethal with that just walk into the site and plant the bomb. Era obviously have a plan here. They're not trying to stop this plant at all, and it is clear that the way that they're doing this is once the plant goes down, everybody rush, just go. Just balls to the wall. Let's get rid of their planter and just like eliminate them all at once. And we have to wonder,
now, I don't even see, someone doesn't even have the diffuser picked up, and he actually gets the C4 to the face. That deals about 40 damage to him. However, like we see right here, the diffuser is not picked up by anyone. No one is coming around to actually help him out.
You guys
this is all Shala by himself.
They could have planted already. There's half of the round gone now, and guys, on match point. You need to be on this. And Sensus is like fighting with the guy in garage. It works out for him in the end. But look at that, 1 minute 25 seconds on the round, and barely any progress made. Just plant the bomb. You have the ability to. They're barely holding the site.
Yeah, and so right here what we're seeing now is Sensus trying to hold down Garage, but he is trying to be called back by his team. Looks like King George, though, is going to pick off Gun Havoc as he comes around. That's the glass shot. Now as he streets on outside of Stockroom, it looks like Oz will pick him up from behind. This is the cover that Oz needs to do. He needs to stay right here, not get picked off. But Eclipse comes up. He's going to come up from behind. He turns around, he gets one. He's going to go for the other kill, and he gets it. No, that's Adam that turns around and gets the kill. But it'll take Oz gets one. Adam's going to get another one in return. It's now all up to Oz, a 2-on-1 with 45 seconds to go. Oz needs to get this clutch if he wants to keep his team in the running and take it to overtime, but he cannot. And Avian gets the dome shot from the lobby to take down Oz and Lethal Gaming all in one. It's going to be a 2-0 victory here for Era Eternity.
GG's coming out, even from us. Look at that. And looks like, yeah, like you said, it's pretty much cut and dry. That was the outcome I expected to see. Era, they've made the roster changes. They've been moved around a little bit, but Lethal Gaming, this is the same history that Lethal Gaming has had with Era. They'll bring them toe to toe, and they'll go the mile, and ultimately they won't be able to lock out the rounds. And I just saw from Era, really what it came down to is their fundamentals, just like basic stuff. Like claymores at the top of ladder, even droning out the entire building. It almost looked like Lethal wasn't going to, being thorough enough.
I felt like
and then leaving the diffuser at the top of stairs.
Yeah, that seemed just like a mental lapse in that case.
Yeah.
What I did feel like on this map in particular, though, was I didn't feel like their emotions drove them to win or lose. I felt like because it kept going back and forth, that it was more skill based. It was more strat based.
For me, yeah, the skill and strat, but mostly strategy. Strategy was just absolutely lacking, and you cannot have that on Clubhouse. This is the strategy map. This is where all of the most refined strategies come to play, and you didn't have any, Lethal. What happened? They won the rounds that they won based on, like Oz, for example, that 3K at Door, what we just saw. That's why they were winning rounds. They were winning their engagements. But ultimately, they just weren't coordinated enough. Their fundamentals were lacking, and they couldn't bring it together as a team. I can't help but wonder if they just didn't put enough practice time into Clubhouse specifically.
Yeah, I feel like...
Oh, this was a nice shot.
That was very nice. Now, I thought he was going to get that first dome shot on it, but he missed. He got the shoulder instead. But still, I mean, I wish that we had like a 3D recreation, because the round to me that stood out was the round in Stock and Bar where Lethal got the plant down within a minute, and then Era collapsed and got the victory.
That was crazy.
I would love to see from everyone's point of view as to how that worked, because it worked flawlessly for both sides. Lethal early on, Era out at the end. But to me, that was, I think, the epitome of both of these teams fighting tonight.
I think it was pretty clear to me what they were doing, what Era's plan was. It was this. It was, okay, Well, it's really difficult to stop the plant in that doorway when there's a Montaigne, so let's just not. And let's just all collapse on them once they plant. Nobody will expect it. Just go, go, go. Forget about everything. Just shift and run out and just murder them. And it worked out for them.
All right, guys, so let's take a look at the standings as they are at the end of day number 1. Here we're going to have Era Eternity moving forward. And this is Group B again. So right now we're still, we actually are still waiting on the update from Most Wanted and Flipside Tactics. But the winner will go on to fight Era Eternity, and the loser will go on to fight Lethal Gaming.
Pretty sure that we're actually going to watch Most
that
Wanted
is next week. I'm sorry.
Flipside.
That is next week.
The nature of this particular way we're doing Pro League now is luckily we're going to get to see more of the matches, if not most of them. And yeah, luckily we will be able to watch that matchup next week. But this is Group B. We're looking at Era versus Lethal, what we just watched. And then going into Group A, which is what we watched earlier, Continuum 2-0'd against Elevate GG. Continuum managed to move their way over to the winner bracket. Elevate GG given the second chance in the loser bracket. And then again, Ominous and Onslaught we will get to watch later on.
Yep.
So that is what we got to watch today, ladies and gentlemen. The North America Day 1 Pro League.
Yep.
Year 2, Season 1. Woo!
All right.
Super
and so
excited.
with that is going to be the conclusion of day number 1, play day number 1 for North America PC here in the Rainbow Six Pro League. You got to see our first matchup of Continuum going up against Elevate, and you just got to witness the conclusion with, Era Eternity going up against Lethal Gaming. Now, we hope you guys all have a wonderful evening. If you're here for more Rainbow Six play, Thursday evening, starting at, I believe it is, I want to say 7 p.m. Central European time, that will be the European Pro League. Starting on Thursday night. So be sure to tune in for that. Be sure to hit that follow button. And we'll see you next time, guys. Have a wonderful evening.
Peace out, guys.